So the Giants take game one of this three-game series. Another ball game that you can say all you want, but torture is back. And the Dodgers now have lost 7 straight.
Hello there. Welcome into the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Oh, man, what a great win. What a very, very fun, a little bit of a tense win last night between the Giants and the Dodgers. Giants win 8-7. Logan Webb getting his 9th win of the year despite giving up 6 runs and an absolute tank of a home run to Shohei Ohtani. Good morning to everybody out there on this wonderful Saturday morning. Days are always great the morning after the Dodgers lose and the Giants win. It's just even better when that Giants win comes while the Dodgers are losing. Dodgers have lost 7 straight. Giants just 4.5 games back of their rivals in the NL West Division. Good morning to our guys holding it down behind the glass, Steven Risotto, Zach Green, and of course, most important good morning of all, good morning to you, Dan Devone.
Dustin May, it's always a pleasure to work alongside. The slider wasn't working last night.
Yeah,
for you,
it's that offense. They just, when they get rolling, it's hard to get it stopping. And, I just wasn't feeling it out there on the mound last night.
Man, that was fun last night. You were there. What was the energy like?
Oh, it was I won't say playoff energy, but it was definitely intense regular season game energy. There was, a good amount of blue in the stands, and that was noted by a couple Giants players post-game. We'll talk about that at some point. But it was a great atmosphere last night. Giants fans were into it, and it was just I don't care what people say. This rivalry is still going strong between the Giants and the Dodgers. May not be, cooking at, the high temperatures that it has been in the past, but this rivalry is still alive and well right now. And the atmosphere last night, it was tense. It was festive. Fans were into it. There was a lot of reasons to cheer for both sides last night.
Yeah, I would say it's cooking right now. The Giants are within 4 games. I mean, this was a boat race a week ago, and here comes San Francisco, and we hit the break, and they got a chance to win the series. Dare I even entertain potential sweep?
Oh, let's get through today first.
So, listen, I watched it at home. I guess the one question I would have for you or anybody else that was there, are the Dodgers the new sort of America's team? There was a lot of blue last night, and you could hear them last night.
No, you could, and unfortunately, there was when Shohei Ohtani was stepping into the batter's box, the booing and the cheering I thought was pretty even, I would say. I mean, maybe cheers just are naturally, like a cheer is naturally louder than a boo, but I would say it was maybe 40 to 60 Dodger fan, Giants fans there last night.
Wow.
Which probably a little much. It wasn't the complete takeover that it has been in the past. You looked out towards the 415 section out in deep center field, and there was a lot of orange and white out there. It wasn't that sea of blue that it has been in the past when that Blue Oyster Cult Dodger group, Pantone 666, as I like to call them.
Don't fear the Reaper.
I call or Pantone 666. That's the other name I have for it. When they like that Dodger fan group that comes and just takes over ballparks nationwide. It wasn't an all-out blue invasion, but still a little too much Dodger for my liking in the 7th inning stretch. It's another great example. When it's the root for the Giants versus if you're the out-of-town fan, you say your team. You can't tell what they're saying because the word Giant and Dodger just gets screamed together at the same time.
Cancel each other out.
It's just root for the if they don't win it. So you can't really tell in that sense, but I guess the fact that you can't tell, though, kind of shows just how many Dodger fans were there last night. But no, it was a fun game. It was a very, very fun game, especially that 5th inning when the Giants dropped 5 runs on the Dodgers to chase myself, Dustin May.
When Shohei Ohtani came to the plate, and I know you, like any good Giant fan, can't stand Shohei.
Hate it.
I was not in the room, but I was in the kitchen, and I was headed to the living room, and I heard, they always say it sounds a little different coming off of Shohei's bat. I was like, what the hell was that? Like, did I just drop a plate? Did I just break my ankle? What just snapped? And sure enough, Shohei, I look up and he's casually jogging around second base. That was fun. That was fun because I know, you'd like to have it be a little bit closer, but for the Dodger fans and the people that are watching, to see Shohei go deep, I think there's a lot of people that just like, hey, listen, man, he's the best in baseball, and he did his thing, but the Giants won at the end of the day. I think really sort of the big takeaway for me, and we certainly can get into this game, and we will, is that Logan Webb didn't have his stuff. Logan Webb wasn't Logan Webb, and yet they won the game, which is a good sign for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how often, I mean, you want to talk about that was, I felt like, I don't know if I would say totally statement win, because the Giants had a great win on that Friday night down in LA a few weeks ago and then lost the next two. But that was one of those, there was a lot of chances last night where the Giants, things could have fallen apart. You mentioned that Ohtani home run, which what amazed me the most about that Ohtani home run, I was saying this to Risotto last night, who was also there with me. And also, you know who was there with me last night was Joe Spadoni, the current host of the Morning Roast. Dragged him down there because it's like, you know, dude, you got to learn what it's like to be credentialed at these games. Got to show you the ropes here. And I just looked at him, I was like, dude, it literally looked like Shohei Ohtani like half swung the bat. Like he swung it at half speed or half strength, I guess I should say. And just such a smooth, effortless swing. And he planted it 410 feet into the cove. The guy who got it, luckily, McCovey Cove Dave did not get it. No. So we're all happy about that. You know, there's one less ball that will be held hostage there. But the guy who got it jumps out of his kayak with his headphones on. Headphones were probably fried after that. Grabs the ball and just has the biggest smile on his face. But that was I hate to say this, that was an incredible home run.
So our own Evan Giddings, if he wants to call in, apparently had a shot at that home run.
Really?
Apparently was within gloves reach. I'm hoping he didn't bring his glove. But
he did not bring his glove. You don't like people bringing gloves?
we did talk about
that's right. And yeah, you were dead wrong about that. Well, I'd say because that was a pretty high ball. So unless Evan had a 30-foot vertical, I don't know if he's coming down with that one there. But no, again, Dan, there were chances where things could have fallen apart for the Giants last night. They go down 2-1 after that Ohtani home run, and you're thinking, uh-oh. This team, this offense has to score 3 whole runs now? Like, how are they going to do that? And not only did they do that, they added 2 in the fourth, courtesy of Jung Hoo Lee and his triple there. And it could have been more, but out of nowhere, apparently Michael Conforto has an arm, apparently. Didn't know that was a thing. You look at the replay there, I thought Jung Hoo Lee was safe on that play. Bob Melvin, after the game, thought he was safe on that play. Was not really thrilled about where the umpire was standing on that play to see it. But then the Giants add 5 more in the fifth, and you're thinking, wow, this is going to be incredible. They're going to blow them out. This is going to be a party all night long. But this Dodger offense, they charge back there in that 6th inning, chase Logan Webb out of the game. Randy Rodriguez has to come in, close the door, still gives up a run, but it's able to shut down this, comeback attempt. And, Steve Risotto, he said last night, this could be a game that really shows you what this bullpen is about. And we saw it last night. Randy Rodriguez came in. He took care of business. Tyler Rogers, very quick inning. And then, wow, Camilo Doval. I don't think there was a calm Giants fan in that ballpark. There were 40,000 fans in that park last night. I would say, 23,000 of them were Giants fans. And each and every single one of them, Dan, was on the edge of their seat when Camilo Doval came in for the bullpen to face Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith in the top of that 9th inning with a run lead.
And you knew somebody was going to get on.
Oh, yeah. It's never a clean inning with Doval.
And when the minute Mookie went single to left field, I'm like, well, here we go. And maybe Doval's only comfortable when he's in those sort of situations. Yeah. And then, Will Smith is, for a catcher, he's not an easy guy to double up. I think they mentioned on the broadcast that he'd only been doubled up 4 times. So you're saying, okay, well, that's not going to happen. So you got to go after this guy. And sure enough, around the horn, double play, let's go home. But that was a statement win. Now you just need to get one of these two. One of these two going into the break. And I think the San Francisco Giants will be sitting pretty.
Yeah, again, you said statement. I do like that. I think it's a statement win, but you got to follow it up with some action there. Like I said, they had a great statement win on that Friday night in LA a few weeks ago, and things kind of, they ended up getting boat raced in that Saturday game, and then no one really cared about that Sunday game because of the news of Rafael Devers being traded, 20 minutes before first pitch. Sean Jelly gets shoehorned into that start out of nowhere for his first start. And, obviously that game, no one really even remembers that game because we were too busy going down Rafael Devers' rabbit holes last night. By the way, Devers, not a huge participant in the action last night. He did get a couple walks. One of those walks did start off that 5-run rally in the 5th inning there. But other than that, 0 for 2 with the pair of walks there last night for Rafael Devers. Jung Hoo Lee, he goes 3 for 4. Jung Hoo Lee, very quietly hitting .355 here in the month of July. Granted, we're just about halfway through the month of July, but for as much scrutiny and frustration that Jung Hoo Lee has been the target of from this fan base, he has been swinging the bat very, very well this month. He is still pulling the ball a lot. Not as much, but he's still pulling it a lot. He's getting under it a little too much for my liking, but still driving the ball more. That triple he had last night was out to the deepest part of the yard, and it's probably a home run in a lot of other ballparks. But with Jung Hoo Lee last night, he had a rough night in the field, Dan. There was the Will Smith double in the 6th inning. Bounces. He took just a bad angle to it. We'll hear from Jung Hoo Lee via his interpreter, Justin Hahn, later on in the show. But took a bad angle there. The Teoscar Hernandez ball out the triples alley bounces out of his glove. And then in the next inning, is not able to chase down a Mookie Betts double. That ball bounces up against the wall. He fumbles in picking up the ball, and that double ends up becoming a double plus an error as Betts gets into third base there. Usually Jung Hoo Lee is better on defense than he is last night, but last night was just one of those woof kind of games from him.
Well, he only had the one error, though. So there's a lot of center fielders that don't get leather on that shot by Will Smith. So you got to give him credit that he was there. But listen, if Jung Hoo Lee puts leather on it, he should catch the baseball.
Yeah, the Teoscar Hernandez one. I mean, it was not a great
Hernandez.
Yeah, that was not a great angle that he took on it. Some of the angles that he took, the Will Smith ball also, another not a great angle I thought that he did there. And again, these aren't huge issues I'm seeing from him on defense. Again, he's been a plus defender most of the year. This month particularly, though, he's kind of been a bit of a defensive slump. But all this is to say with Jung Hoo Lee, this is why he really needed last year. I feel like right now we're really seeing the effects of the fact that his rookie year was shut down on Mother's Day of last year when he ran into that wall and separated his shoulder. Like, if he went through all these growing pains last year, he would just be in such a better place at the plate and in the field this year. And I'm kind of curious, and I want to hear from Giants fans on this, 888-957-9570. As Jung Hoo Lee continues to go through these growing pains, he's going to have ups, he's going to have downs, he's going to have great stretches, he's going to have tough stretches. There's going to be times where you're going to be dreading when he comes to the plate. There's going to be times when you're excited when he comes to the plate. I'm kind of curious how much patience and faith they're going to have in Jung Hoo Lee going down the stretch here of this season when the Giants are going to be playing in a lot of meaningful baseball games with very thin margins for error when you consider the amount of teams that they're going to be battling with in the NL playoff picture.
I think you have to take the KBO into account, that they just don't play this many games, and he's never been through this before. So this is essentially his first time around, and he's still getting his battle scars. The one thing about, and this is just from a guy sitting on his couch, crushing a beer and eating potato chips, watching him play, is that he looks like a Deadpool hitter. With his open stance, how is he going to go the other way? I just look at him and like, everything about him is like Deadpool. And so it's sort of, I don't know, you'd like to see him use the whole field, but when I watch him, I'm like, how is he's not even set up.
But that's, again, like as I've always said, like he was doing that earlier in the year. You look at his spray chart, there's a lot of hits that he's put in the left field there. So it's definitely possible he has it in him. He's been doing a lot more lately. I do think there is a bit of a stubbornness on his end. He's got a swing that's worked for him. He wants to make that swing work. But there's also a level of adjustment you got to make at the big league level. Sometimes you do got to adjust your swing a little bit because there's the whole, your swing got you this far, but you need to tweak it a little bit if you want it to take you further, because sometimes what works in the KBO is not going to quite translate immediately over to the major league level where the talent is a little bit better. The scouting reports are a little bit better. The ability to find your weaknesses is a little bit better. And it's going to be incumbent on him in the second half of the season to address those weaknesses quickly because, Dan, I said this, I think, last week, and when the Giants got off to a 19-10 start, he was hitting 320. And I'm not saying that Jung Hoo Lee was solely responsible for that 19-10 start, but I don't think it's a coincidence that in April, when the Giants were playing by far their best baseball of the season, Jung Hoo Lee was a big part of that.
Yeah, and I was listening to somebody who was talking about, I believe it was Manny Machado, who had his 2000th career hit. And I believe Machado might go to the Hall of Fame. Wow.
2,000. That's actually, I think he is a future Hall of Famer. Wow, he's already at 2,000. He's only 32, right?
Yeah, so Machado.
He'll get close to 3,000 probably.
They were talking about Machado's early years, and so he came out gangbusters, and we've referred to Jung Hoo Lee having to deal with this as well, is that there was a book out on him, and so everybody tried to go high and tight on him. And so it took him a while to realize that that's what they were doing, and so not to hit that pitch, but just wait for the mistake. So, and I think that's part of what Jung Hoo Lee, sort of his maturation, if you will, while people wanted to go low and away, like leave it alone and just wait for the mistake. Wait for them to come back into your wheelhouse. Easier said than done. I don't want to sound like Pat Burrell here, but I think that when you think about Jung Hoo Lee, he's sort of representative, I think, of sort of the mantra that might be applicable to Giants baseball in the first half of the season, and that is patience. It's like, we don't have patience.
No.
But we had to exert patience. When it came to Willie Adams, when it comes to Jung Hoo Lee, now when it's coming to Rafael Devers, we're all about, come on,
we want
what have you
gratification.
done for me lately? You're as good as your last at bat. You're as good as your last game. And so baseball requires a level of patience. For crying out loud, the Dodgers have lost 7 in a row. The Dodgers.
And you think that city is burning down to the ground right now with how they're taking it. And they're still 4.5 games up in this division.
4.
Yeah, 4 up. They're 4.5 up on the Padres. But yeah, they're still leading this division very comfortably. They're still probably going to win this division. I think it's their division until it isn't.
Certainly.
I would love if the Giants would come in and make me wrong on that statement there, but that's one of those things, let's do it first before we start celebrating it happening. But
I mean, look at the Braves. I mean, the Braves aren't as good as the Dodgers, but that lineup a couple of years ago was the best in baseball, and it's the same guys, and they've been healthy. So sometimes baseball's a weird sport. Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm unlike most fans, Dan. I have a pretty high level of patience for the Giants and their hitters. You know that obviously from all the conversations we've had about Willie Adams, which, Willie Adams is absolutely cooking this month right now for the Giants. A couple hits last night, another home run for Adams last night, his 13th of the year so far this season, another triple as well for him. He has just been on another level. As I pull up the monthly stats here, he is hitting 361 this month and has just been a huge factor for the Giants offense. There's a time not that long ago, Dan, where there were Giants fans who already wanted to move off of him. It was like, who would you rather, see leave this summer, Jonathan Kuminga or Willie Adams? That was a question that people would haggle over because that's just where we are as a fan base. There is a level of patience that you need with this Giants team, and I know that is tough these days, but I'm going to have that patience. I had it with Willie Adams. I was paid off there. I'm going to have that patience with Jung Hoo Lee because I do think there's an 8 ball that he's behind this year that he needs to get himself out from behind, and it's going to be a grind until he does do that. Speaking
of patience, you know who's off the interstate? Broke the Mendoza line?
Who's above
Patrick Bailey.
There we go. Hey, let's go, Pat.
It's a 202 batting average, I believe. But no, in all seriousness, I think he can only go up from here, right?
Yeah.
And Patrick Bailey he's not going to be your best hitter, but he's not as bad as he's been in the first part of the season. So, again, there's part of that patience. I just think, Sam, that this team is sort of uniquely positioned for the second half. Like, catching the Dodgers, you're right. The Dodgers, it's their division. That's the best team in the world. But San Francisco, after everything they've been through, and you just look at that team right now, where it looks as though they finally, not only this year, but I would say over the last 5 years, you're looking at that infield and that starting lineup, and you're like, hey, that makes sense. Like, there aren't any really glaring holes. I mean, we could go through a nitpick, but it's not like, I like Casey Schmidt at second base.
Yeah, it's the guys who are in this lineup. I still have some quibbles with the order of it, and I talked to Bob Melvin about that yesterday, and he's still, working on what that lineup's going to be like. I don't know how close he is. He was kind of playing it close to the chest when I was asking him about this, about what that lineup's going to be looking like. But once they do get that consistent lineup, when you look at the guys who are in this lineup, they should be able to do not a murderer's row amount of damage, but let's say lineup that can get hot very quickly. And we saw it last night with that 5-run fifth. They could take off and they could put up runs fast. And when they give this pitching staff their the run support that they deserve. Again, it was a rough night for Logan Webb last night. That was the first time the Giants have scored 5 runs in an inning in a game in which Logan Webb has started this year. He's not used to having long layoffs like that. And but this is absolutely a lineup that in the second half, again, not a 27 Yankees murderer's row or anything like that. And the Dodgers lineup is still, at the end of the day, pound for pound, going to be better than the Giants lineup. But this is absolutely a Giants lineup that situationally, I know we had their issues running scoring position. They are a good hitting team situationally. I know they went through that slump, but I do believe this team is a good team situationally. They know how to adjust at the plate. They're smart hitters. This is going to be a lineup that, I think it's crazy. The lineup might be as impressive as the pitching in the second half of the season for this team, which is really saying something when you consider how good the pitching is. Well,
think about it. Not only this year, but over the last couple of years, there's always been holes. The left side of the diamond, right? After Evan Longoria left, it's like, who's going to play third base? Until you got Matt Chapman. Brandon Crawford leaves. Last year's revolving door at shortstop with Luciano and company was a joke. The right side of the diamond has had issues, obviously, at second base. The outfield, it's like, who's going to play left field? Who's going to play center field? And now suddenly you look at that team, and for the first time in a long time, you're like, okay, this makes sense. On paper, 1 through 9, I don't have nearly as many question marks as I've had over the last 5 years.
No, I don't think there is a position in this lineup you can look at and be like, I don't know about that guy. The only position that's going to be in any sort of flux the rest of the season is going to be first base. And that's because you're going to have a platoon of Big Dom Smith. He went deep last night, his first home run as a Giant at Oracle Park. Shout out to him for that. And Wilmer Flores, obviously, he'll be the other half of that platoon. And I don't mind that because on the days, obviously, Flores is starting, he's one of your best clutch hitters, especially with 2 outs, running a scoring position. He's a guy you can count on. And on the days that Dom Smith plays, you got Flores available as a pinch hitter late in games where you can pluck him into any situation and feel good about him coming through for you there. And considering how much they're going to need Flores in the second half, the ability to keep him off his feet a little bit more often with Dom Smith being able to play first base, that's going to keep Flores fresh deeper into those dog days of the season, into late August, into September, and hopefully October, where his clutch hitting is going to be even more and more invaluable.
I noticed you didn't mention Rafael Devers.
We're going to get there eventually. I mentioned him a little bit. He had the 2 walks.
No, but I mean in terms of the first base position. Flores, and then you went Dom Smith.
So we did see Devers taking some ground balls at first base yesterday. He was taking a little infield with Adames and Chapman. I posted that video on Instagram, 95.7 The Game Instagram. Go check it out. The stuff I posted was he looked pretty good. If you watched a little bit after I stopped filming, though, it's still a work in progress with Devers. Bob did mention something about Rafael Devers, and maybe we can get into this a little bit on the other side here, but he's dealing with a bulging disc in his back. I think he said like the L4 disc or something like that was he's dealing with an issue there, and they're having him manage it with pain meds. And that's on top of the groin issue that he has. And that was a little concerning. And Bob brought this up unprompted. I believe it was Maria Guardado of the Giants beat writer for MLB.com. She asked about Christian Koss, and he's giving the update on Koss. And then I know her. Rafael Devers. Yeah, he's got a bulging disc in his back. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you're making him play. Like, I am actually, and we'll get into this more on the other side, like I said, I am a little concerned with the health of Rafael Devers, and they're going to have him play through it. I asked Bob if there's going to be an IL stint. He was adamant saying no. He said no to an IL stint about Devers' groin last week. So they have zero intention to put him on the IL. All-Star break could not be coming at a better time for one Rafael Devers.
Yeah, and I've got a bone to pick with Bob Melvin as it relates to one Rafael Devers. We'll do that on the other side.
We will do that on the other side. Before we go to break, though, shout out to those watching on YouTube. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer. That's Sam. I am Sam Lubman. That is Dan Devone. We are coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Laughing Monk, righteously brewed in San Francisco. Got a lot of fun stuff to talk about on the show today. And then 11 o'clock, oh baby, Bonte Hill, host of Giants pre and post game. He also does some Warriors stuff too. I think he used to do a show here at 95.7. Yeah, same old Bonte to me. He'll be joining the show at 11 o'clock. Get his thoughts on that game last night. He's going to be doing pre and post today as well. So we'll be sure to give him his takes at 11 that he will then take on to pre and post game at noon today. So stick around. A lot of stuff to get into today. 888-957-9570 is the number. Giants fans, I want to hear from you. Were you at that game last night? How exciting was it? How did that win? How juiced were you over that win? I'm fired up. I love beating the Dodgers. It's the greatest thing. It's like Christmas morning. That and more brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
wall. At the wall. Out of here. Might be a rare night, Mike, where the ball is carried.
Well, you just don't see that many balls go out to left field off the bat of left-handed hitters now. As Will Clark would tell you, it happens in the daytime, but not very much at night.
Root for that. Oh, man. Yeah, there you go. That's a fun one. Dwayne Kuiper on the call there. That was Dom Smith's home run last night, going opposite field. His first home run as a Giant at Oracle Park. Love some Big Dom. The real Big Dom, not that fraud standing on the sidelines out there in Philadelphia. That we got the real Big Dom here in San Francisco. We had a chance to actually chat with Dom Smith after the game last night, and we had a conversation and just kind of chatting about because he gets to work with Barry Bonds, and he's excited. It's Barry Bonds' bobblehead day today at Oracle Park. I'm hoping to snag one of those bobbleheads myself, one of the more anticipated bobbleheads that the Giants have had. And we had a great conversation with him, myself, Risotto, and Joe Spadoni, and I chatting with him after the game about just working with Bonds and how much fun he has being able to pick Barry Bonds' brain. And he told a story about how, Risotto brought this up, like he went and approached Barry Bonds. He ended up doing a 2-hour Instagram live video with Barry years ago, back in like 2016, talk about hitting and stuff like that. And I asked him, I was like, damn, is it like scary going up to approach Barry Bonds? Like, is you're going to talk to one of the greatest hitters of all time? Like, he's like, yeah, it's a little intimidating, but, and eventually Barry did take him under his wing, and that's got to make you feel so good when one of the greats like that takes you under his wing and starts imparting his wisdom onto you. There's his own natural wisdom he has, but then he's learned from so many great hitters like Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Bobby Bonds, and chatting with Dom Smith last night, you could just tell how fortunate he feels to be able to have such an incredible hitting resource right there, because Barry he's there every day, Dan. I see him. He is right there in the batting cage waiting for anyone to come up to him and talk hitting with him. And he will talk hitting, he'll talk mindset, and all this to show the Giants have such great hitting coaching available on that team. And you saw a little of the product of that last night with Dom Smith.
Including Will Clark, who maybe we can get into.
We can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, he created some news, then he got rid of that news.
But Dom Smith, while Rafael Devers is still a project defensively at first base, he is not when you talk about Dom Smith. There's something about, I like slick fielding first baseman, but it seems to be ratcheted up or even accentuated a bit more when it's a left-hander. I don't know why. It just looks so much smoother the way he picks it over there at first base. I got a question for you for his home run, again, because you were there at the park. Was the ball carrying the other way? It looked like there was crazy carry out to left field. Like there was a bit of a jet stream.
It was a little bit. I didn't see what the wind looked like before the game. NBC has that really cool graphic of where the arrows are
typically
spinning
all
around.
over the place, and changes from inning to inning.
It got chilly later on. I mean, it wasn't super warm last night. I thought it was a typical San Francisco, summer
because his ball
evening.
just seemed to jump out.
Yeah. No, I can't. It just seemed like some of these balls were hit so hard. I mean, Adamas's was 104 off the bat. Shohei's was 106 off the bat. I could pull up what Dom Smith's was off the bat, but no, I didn't think it was a crazy warm night or the ball was carrying more than usual last night. I think there's just a lot of guys who are getting a lot of really good contact last night.
Yeah, how about that 15 runs scored between the two teams? Usually in Giants series, you don't see that many games or that many runs. It was, that was, I just enjoyed it from an entertainment standpoint. A little too close, I know, for everybody's comfort, but that was fun.
It was. So anyway, yeah, that Dom Smith ball, 99 off the bat. I'll say this, dudes were just cranking the ball last night. Shohei Ohtani had a fly ball the previous inning against Logan Webb that went 381 feet. Oh, I love this from last night. So Shohei had a fly ball. Again, this was to end the fifth inning here. Shohei flies out to left field, and the ball dies right in front of the track, right at that 381 marker there. And then the next inning, Dom Smith comes up, cranks one out to left field that goes 379 feet, and that one's a home run. Shohei hits his 2 feet further. It's an out. Dom Smith, 2 feet shorter. It's a home run. Ugh, you got to love baseball. And then Patrick Bailey gets a single off Dustin May. That was 105 off the bat. Going into the 6th inning, Logan Webb against Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman hits a fly ball 100 off the bat. That Will Smith ball that Jung Hoo Lee misplayed, that was 108 off the bat. The Teoscar Hernandez double that bounced out of Jung Hoo Lee's glove, that was 104 off the bat. The home run that Michael Conforto hit off Logan Webb that eventually chased him from the game, that was 105 off the bat. There are guys getting a lot of hard contact. Mike Yastrzemski, 104 off the bat on his double off Dustin May. Patrick Bailey hit a ground ball that went 104 off the bat. I mentioned Willie Adams' home run, that was 104 off the bat. Mookie Betts, the first hit of the game, or the first contact of the game, had a line out that was 101 off the bat. So was it carrying? Maybe, but guys are just absolutely putting the wood on the ball last night.
Well, it seemed like everything was extra base hits last night. I can only remember, I think Bailey had a single. There's just a couple of singles in the entire game, or so it appeared. Everything was to triples alley. Everything was to the gap, or everything was leaving the yard. Everybody had solid contact last night. And again, maybe it's because Logan Webb had to sit so long, so it was uncharacteristically sort of not a strong performance, but that's going to happen from time to time. But the fact that you can outslug, and we had talked about this, can the Giants, who have been so reliant on that starting pitching and that exceptional bullpen, can they, when the starting pitching and the bullpen, and there's a regression to the means, and they're not on their game, can you still outslug an opponent? And apparently they can, because
at least
last
for one night they can. I don't know. I don't mean to be a poo-poo guy here, but I don't know if that's going to be an every night thing with this lineup. I know it's a good lineup, but to expect that level of production every night, I don't know about that. But to your point, though, they showed last night that what I love about this team the most, Dan, and you saw it last night, they don't ever give up. They don't ever when they get knocked down, like, Chumbawamba, they got right back up again. You're never going to keep them down. And that's what's great about this team. Tyler Fitzgerald said when he was up with this team a few weeks ago that, during some of the rough stretches, last year they maybe would have panicked. This year they don't. The mental toughness of this team is very special. Like they never believe that they're out of a game. They never believe that a game is truly lost. They know that they can come back if it's a close game late, and they believe in their bullpen enough that if a game is close late and they're ahead, they feel very confident they're going to be able to hold on to that lead. The Giants are truly, as we saw on Wednesday night, they're truly a team where you got to get all 27 outs to truly put them away. And I think that mental grit, that mental toughness that they have, that edge that they have, that is a championship edge. And that, I think, is greater than anything they do at the plate or on the mound because, as Yogi Berra said, 90% of the game is mental. The other half is what's physical. The Giants are acing, I think, the mental aspect of this game. You'd see times in the last couple years where this team would have a tough walk-off loss or blow a big lead, and they would go spiraling for the next 2 weeks, and it would just completely put a massive dark cloud over the team. This team's had rough stretches this year, but there's never been a dark cloud. They push through it. They don't panic. They don't get worried. And while the rest of the world might panic when they're, getting the bases loaded with no outs and not scoring any runs, this team's going to keep going throughout its process and trusting what it does. And I think that's probably the most invaluable asset that this team has this year.
And I think Willie Adams might be the poster child for that. As they say, Willie Adams never got his dauber down, right? I mean, he was a guy that the big contract, all the expectations.
The expensive cheerleader.
He was terrible. And he couldn't hit. And at a point early on in the season, he couldn't field as well. But you looked at the attitude, first guy out of the dugout to greet runners, he had that infectious smile, and now it all makes sense. So, yeah, there's certainly a buy-in there, and you can feel that there's something tangible with the Giants going forward. I know that you like to put that at the feet of Buster Posey. I don't know that I could go there. Maybe Buster has changed the attitude. I think there's a Bob
Melvin effect there too as well, because you saw it again a little bit last year, but more so this year.
But what I would say, and maybe this is Buster Posey, but there's something different about this year's team. There is a buzz back at Oracle that has not been there in previous years. They are selling out. There's a chatter around town. This is a team that over the last couple of years, I think that in another couple of weeks, the Niners in camp begin to dominate sports talk. Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors and Kuminga's he coming back, that begins to get ramped up. And don't forget, this has been a Giants, this is the closest thing we've seen to it was a dynasty. And all of a sudden, that sort of dissipated. And I think that you're beginning to see those batteries being recharged, that there's a buzz, whatever the hell that means, out at Oracle again. And this isn't just an overreaction that they beat the Dodgers last night. No, go look at this in terms of the statistics and the attendance. They're getting 40,000 butts in the seats just about every day.
And those fans are Giants fans that are in those seats. Again, I know there's a lot of Dodger fans there last year, and Willie Adams, Logan Webb, they both said something about that last night. Definitely want to get to that at some point too, if we can get those cuts on our soundboard there back in the behind the glass there, guys. So I'll play that in a second. Because there were a lot of Dodgers fans, but Giants fans are showing up en masse. There are legitimate sellouts that are happening this year that are composed of Giants fans and not Giants fans and opposing team fans. And that has been very, very good to see. I want to talk about Bob Melvin and Rafael Devers in a second as well. 888-957-9570 is the number. Is there concern about Rafi Devers' health? Again, yesterday, Bob Melvin mentioned, I wish we had the sound for this. Unfortunately, my microphone absolutely crapped out on me when Bob was saying this. But Bob Melvin mentioned that Rafi Devers is dealing with a bulging disc in his back, a top of the groin injury. He's using pain meds to deal with it. They don't believe an IL stint is necessary, but that has been what's been slowing the transition to first base. Is there concern there? So I want to hear from Giants fans on that. I also want to hear from Mitch in New Jersey, because he doesn't want to trade for Josh Naylor anymore. He's got his sights set on bigger fish. So let's head out to the East Coast, talk to our guy Mitch in New Jersey. Mitch, how you doing? You're on the Wrap.
Doing well, thank you. How you doing, Sam? Dan, thanks for taking my call.
Oh, of course, man. Doing great. The Giants beat the Dodgers last night. It's like Christmas morning 2.0.
Absolutely. I think the Dodgers are hurting that maybe they're going to panic, so maybe they'll make a trade. I have another guy. But first I wanted to mention him. You mentioned about Manny Machado, but your last name is Lovett. Isn't there a quarterback? He's going to be a first-round pick on Arizona State. Sam Levitt. It almost sounds like your name.
Oh, man, look at that. There's a lot of Sams out there. I'll have to look him up.
Okay. All right. Lucia. Yeah, all right. When you get a chance. I know you're a busy guy. Manny Machado, he's got a lot of RBIs. He might get to 500 home runs, and he might get to 3,000 hits, but they've been saying he's been a Hall of Fame, so at least the RBIs gets in the Hall of Fame. But he's never hit 40. So that's kind of hard to believe. But I say the Giants, it might cost less and get the Josh Naylor. How about this O'Neal Cruz? I know 6'7", plays center field, but he's in 205. I know he's not a table setter, but they're probably pitching around him because they don't have much in Pittsburgh.
He does hit
and a great pitcher. O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, he does hit the ball hard.
Hello?
Mitch, I'm curious. Like, you've seen him play in the defense in center field, though, right?
I've seen him catch a few games. I guess when Pittsburgh comes to the Mets.
Yeah, you don't. So all the balls that he kind of lets get by him and he jogs after it, that doesn't concern you at all?
Well, maybe he's tired of losing and then the bad ownership. Great stadium, yeah, but that will lower the price, I would say.
Oh, all right. I like that theory. How are you feeling about Devers so far?
A little concerned. We can't undo the trade. I think it'll come around. I mean, the money's guaranteed. I think he wants to play and earn it. And
yeah,
he's
so.
in a good situation. He wasn't in a bad situation in Boston. They spend money like it's going out of style too. But we need another batter, and I'm not worried about Devers. I think he's a possible Hall of Fame when it's all said and done. And you got Barry Bonds. I mean, everybody should be talking to Barry Bonds.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for taking my call.
Of course, Mitch. Call in anytime, right? Glad to hear from you. So, yeah, he's he's not panicking about Rafi Devers.
I mentioned O'Neal Cruz last week. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know if you necessarily need him, but hey, listen, man. 6'7" and all those tools. I mean,
I definitely think you could use him. Absolutely.
That's just it. There are no needs on this Giant team right now, except that's in terms of 1 through 9 position players.
Yeah, I would go that. I think once you get to the pitching side, there's some needs there.
Yeah. Do you want to go Verlander? Is that sort of where you're headed when you talk about needs in that starting rotation?
I definitely think there are. I mean, Justin Verlander, we talked with Alex Pavlich about this earlier this week. Verlander's not going anywhere in the near future. I think he's going to be in the rotation at least up through the trade deadline. And then that's where we're going to find out kind of what Justin Verlander's, immediate future after that is going to look like, because I do believe the Giants do need a starting pitcher, probably like a 3-4 caliber starting pitcher, someone who can basically be their fourth starter in the playoffs. So I don't know what that looks like there. Could be a different Pirate, Mitch Keller. That's an option. I know a lot of people like the guy Cabrera out of, was it Edward Cabrera? Is that the name? Out of Miami? Rizzo, Zach, one of you guys, Edward Cabrera?
Yeah, Edward Cabrera. He's having a really good year, by the way. All of his peripheral and analytic stuff, for those who like that, all of that is up this year, and he's being viewed as one of the top arms on the market. So
that one I think is not going to be a Giants target, because that's a top of the rotation kind of guy, and I don't think the Giants are going to be going after one of those guys. I think you got like a Mitch Keller out of Pittsburgh who's got a 3.50 ERA. Despite, a 3-10 record, so he's been getting screwed by the offense, so he might feel right at home here with that sense. So I think that could be an option. A lot of people mentioned Sandy Alcantara, but that's one of those things where it's just like teams just think that they can fix him. We can fix him. I can make him better. I don't know about that. So it's Verlander, I think, is locked in for the next 2-3 weeks, and we'll see about that after that. Ken in San Francisco, he was at the game last night, and I'm kind of curious where Ken was, A, sitting, and B, just what he thought of that game last night. Ken, how you doing, man? You are on the Wrap.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, last night I was sitting section 123. That's where we typically sit for Giants games, but the atmosphere itself, it's been a playoff vibe for most of the season, to be honest, with these sellout crowds, but last night in particular felt like our series in the NLDS against the Dodgers a few years back in 2021 felt like the same thing again. But my one concern, and the guys voiced it after the game, was there were so many Dodger fans there. It felt like maybe 60-40 Dodger fans.
Really? You thought there were more Dodger fans?
That was what's that?
You thought there were more Dodger fans than Giants fans?
No, I would say like 40% Dodger fans.
Okay.
It felt like.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, how do you feel about
the one thing that's a little concerning?
Yeah. No, I hear you on that one. How'd you think about the rest of the game, though?
Rest of the game, I think I called about a month ago and preached patience. We were about like 2 games behind the Dodgers at that point, and I think now fans are coming to and being more patient with this team, because we're going to grind it out. It's going to be one-run games, but seeing that they can score a 5-spot last night with the Logan Webb start means it tells me a lot about the resiliency of this team. So it's going to be a roller coaster ride, but I saw a lot last night that gives me a lot of hope. And I think at the trade deadline, maybe one more move, like you mentioned, about starting pitching and put us over the top, because in theory, like a Blake Snell is going to come back for the Dodgers. So that's my one thing. I want to counter that injury aspect of what the Dodgers are dealing with.
Good stuff, Ken. Thanks for calling in. So, yeah, you mentioned the Dodger fans. We're going to hear from Logan Webb and Willie Adams last night, because they both noticed it there, Dan.
Every time we play these guys, it always seems like it's a great atmosphere. Probably a little too many Dodger fans in the stands, but yeah, it's always fun playing against them. Always a great energy.
Not gonna lie, I feel like we had too many Dodgers fans today here. So, maybe tomorrow we get more San Francisco fans. But no, the energy was intense. I loved it. It felt like a playoff game, to be honest. That's how high the energy was tonight. But like I say, I loved it, and I love playing games like that. So
there you go. It was a little whoosh whoosh there at the end. But yeah, too many Dodger fans there last night. Giants fans, need y'all to be showing up today. Don't be giving your tickets to Dodger fans. Let's show out. Let's be a little bit louder today and take our ballpark back, because honestly, I'm sick and tired of this blue invasion that keeps coming into my ballpark.
Coming down I-5.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of these people coming in and taking over my ballpark. I don't like these Dodger fans.
It's really sort of atypical for L.A., which is so fair-weathered. I mean, they wrote the book on arriving late and leaving early.
Got to beat that traffic.
Usually when you think about Los Angeles, you don't think about a rabid fan base when it comes to the Rams, when it comes to the Lakers. They love their teams. But this Dodger phenomena over the last couple of years is for real. Hey, listen, man, I'll take my hat off to you because I didn't think you had it in you, LA. And look at you.
Well,
look at you. You actually travel. You're willing to go into hostile territory.
Well, again, for the last, almost 8 years now, you've been a team that averages 100 wins a year. I think only, 2 or 3 times over the last 7, 8 years, excluding the COVID year, have the Dodgers not broken the century mark in terms of wins. So when you're that good, yeah, you should be getting behind that team. Like if the Giants were on the run that the Dodgers are on right now, this city would be exploding with orange and black. Giants fans during their dynastic run, Giants fans were taking over ballparks all over baseball, just like the Dodger fans were. The only difference is when the Giants fans do it, we're a good fan base, whereas the Dodger fan base is just not a good fan base. They're not fun to be around. They just got a dumb look with them with that dumb little hat that they wear, and they all think, oh, Shohei's so good. It's like, that's great, but he bets on baseball games. So like, what are you gonna do with that information, allegedly? So like, it's just gross when Dodger fans come into your ballpark, and I don't like it. I want to get them out. We should just barricade them from coming in. Obviously not, but yeah, Giants fans, we got to take over our ballpark. We got to take our ballpark back.
I grew up obviously a Giants fan at Candlestick when I was a kid.
OG.
And I think it was I thought I sort of misdiagnosed after being in years of therapy of what I thought was Dodger hate, that I think it was just LA envy. I'd be at the stick with like 3,500 people just huddled around, and you go up to the concessions and there's like a line around the block for hot chocolate, and I just thought that's the way you roll in July. Like you get hot chocolate and you wear a jacket. Then I grow up and get a little bit older, go to Dodger Stadium, like, okay, yeah, you don't need to sell hot chocolate because it's 75
You're wearing
out.
a T-shirt to games, yeah.
Everybody's pretty. Everybody has a tan. There's gorgeous women walking around. Like, yeah, I think it was envy more than anything else about LA, but I still hate them.
Oh, absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there with the envy. Like, yeah, obviously I hate the Dodgers. I would never, ever in a billion years be a Dodger fan. And I'm always amazed at people who can switch sides in this rivalry. Ironically, of my grandmother, my grandma Judith, she grew up a huge Dodger fan. And luckily she's, all right now and everything. And she's a Giants fan, but it is possible. But yeah, I'll be honest. Dan, there's a little bit of, who is?
Mike Krukow.
Oh, really? He was. Yeah, I forget about that. So yeah, it is possible to switch sides. I would never switch sides. I don't know about any Giants fans that have gone over to become Dodger fans. It's always been the other side. So there must be some speaking there. But yeah, no, the envy thing, there is a little bit of truth to that. I'll be honest. I would love to have Mookie Betts as a Giant. I think he is one of the coolest baseball players in the game today. I was watching him take some grounders at shortstop yesterday pregame. And it's just he just moves so fluidly out there. Mookie Betts is one of those guys that just is good at everything the second he starts doing it, and it's just incredibly unfair. He's one of the best bowlers on the planet. Joe Shasky, host of the Morning Roast, weekday 6 to 10, bumped into Mookie Betts at the Olympic Club on Thursday. He was playing a little bit of golf, and I'm pretty sure Mookie probably shot like a 7-under or something like that. Just call it an off day afterwards. Mookie Betts just he is, to me, the closest thing to a modern-day Willie Mays. I know Mookie's having a down year by his standards, but that is an incredible baseball player. And I am so, so mad that undeserving fan base down in La La Land gets to enjoy one of the few true, pure 5-tool hitters in the game. It's not right. Bad people don't deserve good things.
I'll give you Mookie Betts, and I'm a Shohei guy. They're actually, I told you this last week, they're hard to hate. But Freddie Freeman...
are they that hard to hate? I don't have any issues with
as long as you're wearing a Dodger uniform.
If you're outside the rivalry looking in, yes, then they're very hard to hate.
Freddie Freeman he always rubs me the wrong way. He's like the prototypical Los Angeles Dodger. I do want to get back to Verlander because I'm going to defend the veteran, the long-time, 3-time Cy Young Award winner. I think he's fine.
You're not panicking on Verlander?
No, I think he gave up, 2 runs the other day? I think just like everybody else, and we talked about sort of the word of the day, is patience. I think there's nowhere to go but up for him. He's not going to go. He's not going to have that goose egg, the middle of a bagel the entire season. He is going to win a game. I don't think he's had a lot of run support. But I think you just have to keep in mind, this is the back end of the rotation. And so I read this past week. He's had 6 quality starts, which is 6 innings with going at least 6 innings or giving up 3 or less runs, which is about at the league average. I think he's been good not good, but I think he's been sort of what you expect at a guy who's, number 4 or 5 at the end of your rotation. I don't know exactly what it is the Giants are expecting out of him. If they want him to be that guy of 5 to 10 years ago, no. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
But I think he's been, and I think he'll only improve, but to me, I'm not, jumping out of the trees like everybody else when it comes to Verlander.
Dan, you're saying a lot of stuff that I agree with, and I'll explain why on the other side. First things first, though, let me grab my reads here. Coming up today at 1 o'clock, the Valkyries. We love our Golden State Valkyries. Shout out head coach Natalie Nakase and all-star Kayla Thornton. They're taking on the Aces in Las Vegas today, so you can catch that game on the Valkyries channel on the Odyssey app. Just download the app and search Valkyries. That's going to be today at 1 o'clock. Giants, they're also playing at 1 o'clock today as well. We'll be having lineups for that game as well soon. Speaking of Ohtani, he is on the mound today. Can the Giants tee off on him? Wouldn't that be nice? That and more, your calls as well on the other side, all brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
triples alley. And it's going to fall. Adames is off to the races. 2 runs are going to score. Adames has got a triple.
And that ball's jumping off of his bat.
Now back to the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. The best Giants talk in the Bay on 95.7 The Game.
Mike, Dwayne Kuiper and Mike Krukow on the call for NBC Sports California on that Willie Adams triple there, and he definitely wanted to go 4 bases there, but was right to hold up there at third. Willie Adams just continuing to come through for the Giants this month, hitting .361 right now for the Giants in the month of July. Dan, ever since he got that day off on June 8th against the Braves, he is hitting, let me pull this up, make sure I get the right one, .304 since then, .383 on base percentage, 7 home runs, 22 runs, 22 RBIs over his last 29 games ever since getting that day off on that Sunday. Then he had the Monday off, and then he went to Denver that week, and he has not looked back. Giants fans, they were doubting this guy. They wanted to get rid of him. They were already calling the contract a bust. And 29 games later, he is looking every bit the part that Giants fans were expecting there. And we love to see it. One thing, though, that's been not as fun to see.
Wait, I just want to follow up on that.
Oh, okay, quick Adams thought.
Really quick. So in Sacramento, remember he had the back-to-back games and a total of 7 RBIs? So, like he was destroying the A's. And I just wanted to use that as a segue because I know that you did you go to the game Saturday?
I went to the Saturday night game, yes.
You went to the Saturday night game. Okay, so you weren't there on Sunday. Just one quick bone to pick yet again when it comes to Sutter Health and that mistake out there in Sacramento.
I'll be honest. I did not hate that going to that game at Sutter Health. I kind of like, is it an affront to baseball to be playing in a minor league ballpark like that? Absolutely. But I also enjoy chilling on that lawn out there for a couple innings, watching Giants A's baseball. It was a very interesting experience. I absolutely believe that baseball can work in Sacramento.
There, though.
No, not in that ballpark. You need to build a domed stadium or like a roofed stadium of some sort. But, that city would embrace the A's if Major League Baseball gave him a chance. And when John Fisher falls flat on his stupid face and botches this move to Las Vegas and gets kicked to the curb like he deserves, I hope that whoever comes in and buys the A's after that, burying John Fisher, 10 feet under, that they will actually embrace Sacramento and make it work out there. Because I absolutely believe the A's and Sacramento could be a great marriage.
Well, here's where I wanted to go with that. Who the hell is Sacramento of all cities? That mistake out there demanding that getaway day for the Giants after a 10-game roadie. They play a Sunday night game. Who are you to dictate a 7 o'clock start and they got to jump on a bus following that game after this long road trip and head back to San Francisco on getaway day? There are games that are played in New York City, in Boston, in the middle of August that are played smack dab in the middle of the afternoon that has twice the humidity and the heat as one Sacramento. As I understand, it was like a pleasant 75, 80 when you were there?
Yeah, it was it was warm. It wasn't humid. It's the dry heat out in Sacramento. They do have that humidity on the East Coast.
Just had to get that out of the system.
A lot of people like that 7 o'clock start, actually.
Man, you went to Sacramento and you just became a changed man.
No, I mean, listen, I think, again, I don't like the situation that they're in. I'm still going to stand by that. But I did not honestly, the 7 o'clock start on Sunday was weird. Like, it's 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. I'm like, what am I doing right now? Why am I not watching a baseball game? What's going on here? I'm like Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands. It was weird. But I mean, it's an hour and a half drive back. And they did take 2 or 3 from Philly right afterwards. So
Pasta's trying to do the unthinkable and disagree with the kahuna here. Pasta, do you want to get a live mic and explain yourself?
I disagree, Dan. It's not okay. I understand the argument where there's hotter games that are happening on the East Coast throughout the summer. Why are we making exceptions for Sacramento? I understand that, but it's not like it's, a Sunday night baseball game in Philadelphia and then you're traveling cross country to play at 7 o'clock the next day. It's in Sacramento. It's an hour and a half to get home. This is not like a 5-hour extravaganza to get home. You got to crawl through all these hoops. It's in Sacramento. It's not a bad drive, especially that time of night when the game's over. You could do it. You could do it, Dan.
First of all, I don't mind you disagreeing with me once, and so that you just used up for the remainder of our relationship.
How many more can I get?
For the next 15 years, you shall never do this again. But secondly, I would just say that baseball players are creatures of habit. And so while it may, hey, listen, it's just a couple of hours. When you got to turn around and play again on that Monday after playing 16 consecutive games. And again, nobody plays at night in anything. The NFL maybe gets away with it, but it's the NFL.
NFL can get away with whatever it wants.
You cannot play a Major League Baseball game at 7 o'clock at night because the wind's coming off the Delta. Whatever the hell it is that you guys are doing out there in Sack of Tomatoes.
I think they're hoping that
Pasta?
They're hoping that Jonathan Kuminga's going to come save them.
No, I hear what you're saying. I do hear what you're saying, but I disagree. I think you could get out of there quicker. Maybe that's an option. I don't know how quick you're going to get out of there with media, and you got to change and get out of there, get on the team bus, whatever it is they take down there. But it's possible. Just have no BP the next day. How about that? Have the guys come in a little bit later.
Boss, someone blowing your ear from the Sacramento Bee? Are you getting a new gig or something? What's going on here? What's with the allegiance to Sacramento?
They're currently overlooking my application.
All righty. Zach, what do you think about those 7 o'clock starts?
I actually kind of agree with Pasta.
Holy Christmas. Kill those mics back there.
What is going on here?
I thought it was just first of all, I thought it was like a good change for me. Like, normally on Sunday night, it's like, as a fan, it's like, oh, there's no baseball going on right now, especially this time of year. I thought that fact actually was pretty cool. And then also, I've done the drive to Sacramento a bunch. It's really not that bad. It's not like you got to get on a plane, go cross country. So I'm kind of with Pasta on this.
It's not about the travel. It's the audacity that, listen, I don't care that you play 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the heat and humidity of Chicago, the Midwest, and the East Coast. But here in Sacramento, we need to start at 7 o'clock because it's 85 degrees and we don't want to deal with it. First of all, you're not even a franchise. Secondly, whatever this thing is that you call a baseball team, you have no voice at the table. By the way, kill the kids' mics today.
All righty, well, that was fun there. I don't know. The ironic part was it wasn't even that hot that they needed to have that 7 o'clock start. So, again, it was like some people liked it. I like that traditional one. I'm a big baseball traditional person. That's why I'm very anti-ABS. I don't like the pitch clock. I don't like a lot of the technology that's being jammed down the throat of baseball in the last few years.
Is ABS in the All-Star game?
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit before we get out of here as well. Because the fact the ABS in the All-Star game, it's coming. And no matter how we feel about it, it is coming. So, that's what's going on there. But, Justin Verlander, Dan, you want to get into him a little bit here. And I want to talk about, in this hour here, in this 10 o'clock hour, there's a couple guys, who I think in the first half, I want to put a little bit of a magnifying glass on. One's Justin Verlander, and I want to put one on Rafael Devers and Bob Melvin and that duo there. I know you got some thoughts on Bob Melvin and Rafael Devers. And then I want to get back into the Jung Hoo Lee conversation at some point, too, this hour as well. By the way, Bonte Hill is going to be joining us in about 50 minutes here on the River Islands guest line. Bonte Hill, as you all know, you see him on the Warriors pre- and post-game shows, but he's expanded his ever-growing repertoire to include Giants baseball this year as well. So we will be hearing from him at 11 o'clock this morning, so don't go anywhere for that. But Justin Verlander, Dan, so I did a bit of a deep dive on Verlander's starts so far this season. And he has had, so I counted here, 9 starts this year where he has gone at least 5 innings pitched with 3 or less earned runs allowed. So this past start against the Phillies on the 9th, he went 6 innings. He gave up 4 runs, but 2 of those runs were unearned. So hence your 6 innings, 2 earned runs there. The Giants have lost all those starts from him. In those starts, you got in those starts he's had either 2 or less runs scored for him. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 times he's got 2 or less runs of support. The team has, then you add in a couple shutouts, so 4 times he's had at least 2 or less runs of support. Then you've got 4 bullpen meltdowns that have been behind him as well. And this is basically to say that if you look at Justin Verlander starts, he's 0-7 right now. With the way the offense has backed him up, an extra run here or there, or take away a blown save here or there. I think Ryan Walker has blown at least 2 of his saves. There's the one in Anaheim, I remember, back in April, and then the one 2 weeks ago in Chicago. Take away those 2 blown saves, give him a couple extra runs here or there, and he's probably 3-5 with a 4.70 ERA instead of 0-7 with a 4.70 ERA. And in that situation, Dan, I think we're looking at Justin Verlander very, very differently, despite the fact that all of his numbers would be the same other than the win-loss record.
Well, for example, take the pitcher who was on the bump last night for the Los Angeles Dodgers, Dustin May. Dustin May's got 5 wins this year. His ERA is nearly at 5. And he hasn't been very good, but when you have the support, obviously, of that Dodger offense, things are going to look very different in terms of the one-loss record. So you cannot lean in on how many wins, which is none for one Justin Verlander, and you have to pull back some layers. And again, this is not a number 1 any longer. He's not the number 2. He's not even the 3. That's Birdsong, and Birdsong's got to straighten things out. But he's at the back end of the rotation. So as a 4 or 5 guy, I don't think you're going to do much better than that of Justin Verlander going forward. Not to mention that he's got that veteran guile, right? Like he's been there, done that. And so when you get down to the dog days of August and September and you're battling, whether you're walking down the Dodgers or you're trying to get in and shoehorn and potentially be the top wild card and get that mini home field advantage, you want somebody who knows how to pitch in those situations, and you can't overlook that.
No, I absolutely agree with you there. And really quick, I messed up. I screwed my stats up here. 5 times he's gotten 2 or less runs of support. 4 times the bullpen has blown one of his leads. So my mistake on that one there. But again, yeah, you can't get too wrapped up in the win-loss record there. And it's when you watch Verlander pitch, I do think he is better than what the numbers have indicated. But at the same time, there's also starts like that start he had against the A's, because he's had a lot of rough starts. He's got, I got 6 starts here where he has gone less than 5 innings and allowed more than 3 runs. And on the 4th of July against the A's, the 20th anniversary of his major league debut, Dan, he went 3 innings, gave up 6 runs. And the A's, they were not fooled by anything he was throwing at him. Everything, I mean, the stuff looked good. He was hitting 95 on the gun with the fastball there in that first inning. I think he was hitting his locations in those games that he wanted to get, but the results just weren't there. Teams were, the A's hitters were jumping on him. Brent Rooker, pounced on him for a double down the line. Lawrence Butler, I think, had a couple hits off of him as well. They just were not fooled. And there's something going on. That's what prompted Justin Verlander. He talked to John Shea after that game and said he's throwing stuff against the wall, trying to figure out what's going on with him and trying to reinvent himself. And he didn't say stuff, by the way. He said a not safe for air word. But, Verlander, he's struggling to adapt right now. But I do believe the discourse is a little bit more intense on him than it should be. That being said, if you're looking at when the Giants signed Justin Verlander, a $15 million deal, they had him be the number 3 starter to start the season. I thought having him be the 3 starter was a bit big of an ask. I didn't think he had that in them. I would have rather have seen, at the time, Jordan Hicks be that 3 starter, which, yikes in hindsight, or also see more, Landon Roop or Hayden Birdsong taking that 3 spot, then maybe have Verlander in that 4 spot. But to your point, the veteran experience, I think, is why he got that 3 spot in the rotation. He is more of a 5th starter now. We talked to Alex Pavlovich about this, and let's see if I can find it here on my board a little bit. And here it is. Alex Pavlovich joined the Morning Roast the other day and talked about it's basically time to reset the expectations on Justin Verlander.
I throw the record out because I think they've had some really bad blown saves in Verlander starts. And they also, I think, have scored like 26 runs for him, which is an incredible amount of run support just in how bad it is. And again, yesterday, I mean, he pitched well enough under most circumstances to be in that game, and they just do absolutely nothing. So I throw that out. I do think the stuff looks better yesterday. I mean, I think in general, people just have to maybe reset expectations where when he signed, you could go back a couple years and go, man, he's had some really good stretches, even as his approach his 40s, and he's not too far removed from winning a Cy Young. Like, maybe he can be a real piece here. I think if you just reset expectations and think he's a back of the rotation guy, he's giving him a lot of innings when he is healthy, and he's giving him a chance quite often. They just aren't scoring for him. So it's certainly been a little bit disappointing overall, and I know he has been disappointed with the way it's gone.
So when you view it through that lens of looking at him as simply a 4 or 5 starter instead of a 3 starter, how much does that change the conversation around Justin Verlander in terms of what you expect from him day to day?
Sort of where this all started with me, that he's perfectly situated at the back end of the rotation. That's who he is these days. And as a 4 or 5 guy, as you just laid out statistically, he's not bad. I think the bigger concern for Giant fans is the guy who's supposedly in front of him. That's Hayden Birdsong. Like, that kid has to get it straight. Like, that little mental block, whatever it is that he runs into in the 4th inning where suddenly home plate is on another planet, like that's scary because it's becoming psychological, and that's, you don't want to go Rick Ankiel on anybody here, but it seems as though like a little mental block is beginning to develop here where he's expecting, and when he loses it, he's not even in the same zip code.
Yeah, he loses his control super fast there. But the thing with Hayden Birdsong and why I'll give him a little bit more patience is the fact that he's 23 years old. He came up through the minors very, very fast, and we've seen how good he is when he is right, Dan. And you mentioned on the show in the past how you're very high on Hayden Birdsong. Remember, you were higher on Birdsong than you were on Kyle Harrison at the start of the season, and I agreed with you. I do think Hayden Birdsong has a much higher ceiling than Kyle Harrison and a much brighter future than Kyle Harrison. But he's also 23 years old. Last year was his first taste of big league baseball. Guys like Hayden Birdsong are going to go through ups and downs, growing pains, as they tend to be called here. And you're willing to kind of wait for him to kind of come together. With Justin Verlander, though, you don't have that. This is who he is. He might, tweak his mechanics a little bit, adjust here and there to adapt to where he's at in his baseball career. But Hayden Birdsong has another 10-plus years ahead of him, hopefully. Justin Verlander has, maybe 10, 12 starts left in his career, potentially this season, if this is going to be his last season. Maybe he can get that to 13 or 14 starts if he's healthy. But, those dog days come around. I'm kind of curious, what the workload might do to him. I always said if Justin Verlander could basically do what Randy Johnson did in 2009, which is about 110 innings with around a 4-something ERA, I would take that. Right now, he's probably get the innings, but the ERA numbers are going to be not quite there. All this to say, you're taking that, though, from a 5-starter. That, added on to that, though, if the playoffs are starting today, is he a lock to be in your playoff rotation?
Not a lock. And I think getting back to Hayden Birdsong, part of the reason there should be a level of concern, because I think as Giant fans, you have to be leaned in on today and this year. I know a lot of us like to say, well, if it doesn't work out this year, at least they're set up for the future. I've never subscribed to that. It's about, there's no guarantees any of us are going to be here. Right? Who the hell knows, man, what's going on in this world currently. But I think that this is, go to the playoffs this year and go as far as you can and potentially get back to a World Series and win the damn thing. And so with that being said, and just looking at it with those sort of parameters, it's when you're talking about, to your point, Hayden Birdsong, who is still learning, that learning curve and those moments are just going to get a lot more amplified when you're talking about big games in situations that he has nothing to fall back on. And so I think that especially the way things have gone for him recently becomes a bit of a concern going forward. And same can be said for Landon Roop, who has been so much. Speaking of the Dodgers, he's going today, right? Against
Landon Roop is going to be on the mound today, yep.
Who got absolutely tagged last time out at Dodger Stadium, right? I think that's the game where he got pulled in the second inning, right?
Yeah, it was. On that start against the Dodgers,
6 runs.
Went, 1 2/3, 6 runs allowed. Gave up the home run there. It was a.
But
it was a learning moment for Landon Roop.
Well, that's the operative phrase because he's been so good since then, and his control has been so. But again, there's another pitcher that when it comes to big games, if he's your number 3, you're just not exactly sure what it is that you're going to get simply because they've never been there, done that before.
Yeah. And that's why I think it becomes more imperative for the Giants to go out and find a starting pitching option at the trade deadline that they can count on in a playoff series because, again, I don't think they're not going to move off Verlander anytime soon. I'm not quite sure what the solution would be if things go south. We did ask Pavs about what could happen if the Giants keep losing Verlander starts. Here's what he had to say about that.
I would guess that they probably don't care because I will tell you, everybody knows that he's at 262 wins. I have no idea how many losses he has, and I've never heard that from any Giants people. They all know the win total. Every single person in the organization knows the win total, but I don't think he's been doing this so long. I just don't think he cares about the loss total. And something like 0-10, that would certainly stand out and probably become a little bit of a national story. But I'll give him credit. He's handled this really well. He's been very open after these starts and goes, I haven't thrown well, but he was excited yesterday and has been excited a couple times recently. So I don't know that they would look at the overall record. I think it's more about the way he's throwing. And if there was good velocity yesterday, I mean, he looked good in the first inning, and there were other points where he looked like himself. And if that's the guy they're getting, I think they're going to be pretty excited about that for the second half and hope that it turns around.
That's one of those things. It's kind of like, when a hitter's kind of getting buzzard luck at the plate, like Willie Adams to start this year. I think there was a lot of hits he had that just didn't find the ground when they should have. Eventually that does come around. Now you are seeing that from Adames. He is finally he's getting the hits that he was supposed to be getting earlier in the year. Verlander is pitching well enough to where he should have some wins under his belt, and he's pitching well enough to where you should feel good about him now getting wins under his belt in the second half. I'm curious when they'll have his first start be. They play in Toronto, Dan, this first weekend coming out the All-Star break. I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe reset the rotation. Might be Webb, Ray, maybe they do Landon Roop on that Sunday in Toronto, which could set up Verlander and Birdsong to take those first 2 games in Atlanta against a struggling Braves team that just this morning actually put Austin Riley on the injured list, so he might not be available for that series. So that'd be one less bat that the Giants would have to worry about there. So when that first win comes for Verlander, he might have a chance against Atlanta. If it doesn't come then, it could come either they try and work his start out so he gets that July 26th start against the Pittsburgh Pirates at home against a very bad offense, and that would be his last start before the trade deadline. So he'll have chances to get those wins before the trade deadline comes, and I feel like it's one of those things where when Verlander does get that first win, it's like the dam's going to break, and I feel like we're going to see a little bit of a better Verlander the rest of the way, where you could finally get that monkey goose egg off his back.
Yeah, and one thing that I hear bantered about, and people sort of kick this around about moving him into the bullpen, while that may sound like somewhat, there's some logic behind it, it's not going to happen. He is not going to the bullpen.
No, I don't
It's
see
Justin
that.
Verlander at the end of the day. And he would interpret that as an insult, and he ain't going to the bullpen. That's just not going to happen. And the Giants aren't going to ask him to do that. You mentioned the second half of the season against Toronto. By the way, while the Braves might be struggling, Toronto is not.
Came out of nowhere to take over the AL East.
That team has won 9 of 10, and right now, I mean, those boys they're firing on all cylinders. And the Yankees now looking up at Toronto, man.
Who saw that? Yeah, they are 2 games back.
Remember, we thought the Yankees and Detroit, everybody were like, okay, if there's 2 divisions that have already been decided, this is like a month ago, it's the Yankees. They're just ridiculous. They're running away in the East, and Detroit is obviously got the Central. Well, guess again.
Yeah, well, Detroit, I mean, they got full command of the Central. They are 12.5 up on the Twins there. Astros 6 up on the Mariners in the AL West. The Astros, man, they're like Thanos. They are inevitable. We'll take a look at the National League standings on the other side. Also, Rafael Devers, how concerning is his health right now? Jung Hoo Lee, what we saw from him last night, Great with the bat, not so great in the field. How much of a leash you give him in the second half? Want to get into that on the other side. And 30 minutes from now, oh baby, Bonte Hill joins the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. That's Dan Devone. I'm Sam Lubman. A lot more coming up. Brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good.
might be a rare night, Mike, where the ball is carrying.
Well, you just don't see that many balls go out to left field off the bat of left-handed hitters now. As Will Clark would tell you, it happens in the daytime, but not very much at night.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Yeah, it is the best Giants talk in the Bay. We are back on the wrap. Sam Lubman along here with Dan DeVoe, Bonte Hill in about 30 minutes. He'll be joining the show. You know him as the host of Giants and Warriors pre- and post-game on NBC Sports California. Group Kype on the call there for NBC Sports Bay Area. Did I say NBC Sports California? I meant to say NBC Sports Bay Area there. And that's, NBC Sports Bay Area is also where that call came from last night. Giants win over the Dodgers 8-7. Love it when the Giants beat the Dodgers, no matter the occasion. So shout out to that win last night. And shout out to all those who are watching on YouTube. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer. We are coming to you live from the Laughing Monk Studios. Laughing Monk, righteously brewed in San Francisco. We were taking a look at the standings before we went to break there. Obviously, the Blue Jays, they have taken a lead over the Yankees in the AL East, and the guys in the back, they got this, we got it up in here, this Cubs-Yankees game going on right now, and Aaron Judge just hit a fat one out to center field that myself and Steven Risotto thought was gone. Pete Crow-Armstrong ends up catching it right in front of the wall, and those could be your two MVP winners this year, Aaron Judge and Pete Crow-Armstrong. That's
And speaking of the Cubs playing the Yankees, I've never asked you this. How do you feel about everybody playing everybody in Major League Baseball this year?
I'm torn on it. It's just we were having this conversation a little bit with Ron Wotus last night, and there is the part of me that I do enjoy seeing the American League teams coming in every year. I do enjoy the fact that I get to see either the Red Sox or Yankees every year, and get to see the Giants, take on, other teams. The AL, not this year. I did not like these games against the AL Central this year. Giants went 3-10 against the AL Central this year. So I do like seeing some of these other teams, but the downside of it is, Dan, last night it was July 11th, and the All-Star break is this coming week, and this was the first time the Dodgers played at Oracle Park this year. I liked it when the Giants and Dodgers played each other 19 times a year because you got a home and home in April, you probably had a home and home in September, and then you got two other series sprinkled somewhere throughout the season. And you don't have that anymore. The first month of the year, the Giants are opening at home against the Mariners. They're going to Cincinnati to start the season. They're in Yankee Stadium in April when it's, pouring rain. And it's just, that's a weird feeling to see those kind of matchups in April. At the end of the year, the teams are going like the Giants finished against St. Louis last year to end the season. I always liked it when April and September, it's almost exclusively divisional matchups. That made the division races more exciting. Whereas now with this balanced schedule, as cool as it is to see all these other teams, it's doing it at the expense of divisional rivalries. And that I don't like. So I'm a little torn on it. I have the complete opposite take. I enjoy seeing everybody. And I think that when you look back in 2021 when the Giants won 107 games, it seemed like they were playing the Arizona Diamondbacks every other day. Like they played them 30 times that year and won like 28 of them. That's when Arizona was bad. That's when Arizona was, really, really bad.
The Colorado Rockies of this year. So maybe not that bad, but not good. And listen, I think that it's I enjoy it. I guess it just depends on a fan's perspective, and depending on the division, sometimes people just don't feel as though it's very fair if you're in a competitive division as opposed to a weak division that you're compiling all those wins.
But those things are cyclical, though. I mean, it's sometimes divisions are good, sometimes divisions are bad. I mean, you see it again, different sport, but you see it in the NFL a lot. One year the NFC West is terrible, next year it's really good, next year it's terrible. It's just these things fluctuate, and
but this eradicates all that.
Well, yeah, but no, see this thing, and it's this fallacy of fairness in scheduling. It's just you're never gonna have a schedule where everything is perfectly balanced, as Thanos would say, as all things should be. A lot of Thanos references this hour, but it's just you're never gonna have that true balance. Even today with the balanced schedule, if you're the Colorado Rockies in the NL West, you're buried behind 4 teams that are never going to let you get anywhere close to 81 wins for the next 10 years. But if the Rockies were in, say, the AL Central or the NL Central, I don't think there's that whole lot better. But they're not as hopeless of a situation as they're in the NL West. And that's just, there's nothing they can do about that. Some divisions are just going to be tougher, and it's just the only way to truly balance it out, and I say this knowing that Major League Baseball is going to be going there someday, is do away with divisions, and you're going to have 2 leagues, 15 teams each, top 6 teams get into the playoffs.
That's the way it used to be.
Yeah, and I think it's going to go back to that at some point, but I enjoy the divisional races. There's something fun about that, and I look at the September schedule this year. Other than a road series Labor Day weekend in St. Louis, and then the last homestand, they face the Cardinals again. Giants don't see the Cardinals at all except for in the month of September, that's a weird scheduling quirk. It's all NL West opponents. You got Rockies at Rockies, at Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Dodgers, at Diamondbacks, at Dodgers, Cardinals, and then finish with 3 against the Rockies at home. So this year it is kind of more of a traditional September schedule with all the NL West teams. But yeah, I don't know, it just, when you're in a divisional race against another team, but you're playing like the Royals, like, what are we doing here? Like, that's not a divisional race. This is like July baseball in September. If there's divisional races going on, exciting divisional races, you should be playing your divisional opponents in September when the division race is at its highest moment of excitement. That's how I look at it.
I subscribe to the less is more theory. So the fact that the Dodgers haven't been here, when they come into town, it becomes that much more exciting. It's like the Dodgers are here. But even they were here last week, big deal.
Oh no, I mean, even when they were coming to town 3 times a year versus 2, it was still exciting.
I still think that when you only see Shohei and it's been this long, the anticipation becomes so much. And when he delivers like that of last night, it's kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio's agent. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio does not do late night television, but when he does, you'll be sure to tune in because it doesn't happen very frequently. So there's something to, I think, the fact that you haven't seen the Dodgers up until now that I think adds to all the excitement and energy this weekend.
I want to see the Dodgers more. Like, I don't care. Again, they're good, which is a dangerous thing to ask for. But it's like Yankees Red Sox. Like, Yankee Red Sox fans, they want to be at those games. Those are the games that they get up for the most. And I don't like sacrificing 7 games a year against the Dodgers just so I can see the Giants, play the Blue Jays every year. I don't need to sacrifice Giants-Dodger games to see more games against the Angels. Like, I like seeing, the Yankees and these other teams, but not at the expense of my division rivalries. Zach, what do you got on this?
Yeah, I think you guys are just missing a key point here. I know recently, the numbers came out, the ratings are up pretty decently within Major League Baseball. And I think especially in September with us playing the Dodgers 6 times, you have to take into consideration, what's going on at the time. Football's starting up. And they're the big boys, like Giants, Dodgers. And especially if the division is relatively close, it's like people might actually tune into those games. So,
well, yeah, no, that's kind of my point there, is that's why you want to have those divisional games in September, because those are high stakes games. And if you have a situation, you're not going to have it this year, but if you have a situation where, it's a tight race those last 2 weeks and the Dodgers are playing the Blue Jays and the Giants are, in Baltimore playing the Orioles, that just the stakes, they're there, but they're not as prevalent, I guess, in that situation there. But again, that's the baseball we live in, and it's they're eventually going to do away with divisions, I think. I would not be shocked if in the next 10 years baseball is just 2 15-team leagues. And when that day comes, because he's on an 8-year deal, it's very possible Rafael Devers will still be wearing the orange and black when that divisional shakeup comes. And Rafael Devers. So we got some news last night from Bob Melvin, unprompted, that Rafael Devers is dealing with a bulging disc in his back. It's not serious enough to require an injury list stint. He is on pain meds to manage the pain. He is still taking pregame work at first base. And depending on how long you watch him take that pregame work at first base. You either think he's doing all right or not very good at all. And that was kind of the situation yesterday where he started off pretty good, but then Steven Risotto, you were there. You saw kind of the more uglier moments of the pregame work at first base. What was going on there?
Yeah, I mean, he's still over there learning, and it's not your regular, game-like situation. It's still during batting practice. So the reps that he was getting was coming off of a fungo. So they had Matt Williams kind of almost at second base and kind of hitting little short hops to him at first base. And what I saw is it wasn't going great. I mean, there's a ball that went into the Dodger dugout. There's a ball that would go under his glove. He was missing some scoops. And I understand these are the growing pains that are going to come with Rafael Devers, A, learning a new position, and B, putting on a glove for the first time all year. He's only DH'd. So it's going to happen, but it's very entry-level work right now that he's getting over there, but the only reason he hasn't played over there is because his groin and his back. So it's ugly, but I mean, just fingers crossed that nothing happens in an important situation.
With that all being said, thank you for that update there, Rizzo. Dan, I think it's very easy for Giants fans to feel underwhelmed by Rafi Devers in his 23 games so far with the Giants. 100 plate appearances, hitting .220 since being acquired, 2 home runs. My big concern is obviously this is not a deep cut here. It's the strikeouts. There have been a lot of those. He had a 22% strikeout rate in Boston before coming here. That has ballooned up to 31% since then. All the other metrics, though, you look at where he's hitting the ball, he's pulling it a little bit more with the Giants than he was with the Red Sox, but similar amount of levels on soft contact, medium contact, hard contact. Bat's coming off the ball very similarly. Swings a little bit flatter now than it was in Boston, but the biggest difference is the amount of strikeouts with him. It's alarming.
He's pressing. And I don't know if you saw the shot of him last week, just berating himself, and just you could see that he cares, right? He's clearly frustrated. He missed a pitch last night. I want to say it might have been Dustin May, or is it Bond? Is that how you say the guy's name? The left-hander for the
or Bonda, I believe.
Bonda,
yeah.
Came out of the pen.
I don't remember me being Dustin May throwing that pitch.
Yeah, well, he got behind, and he came in with just some cheese right up in the zone. Devers was waiting on it and just missed it. And Devers had this conversation at the plate. Very brief, but it was just like, come on, man, what are you doing? So he's pressing, man. And this whole idea that he doesn't care, and I think that maybe that was sort of the image maybe that Boston was sort of like, this guy's an introvert and he's only about his own numbers. That could be the farthest thing from what we've seen of Devers. He is a guy that he's just got to relax. And I think by the end of the day, he will be Devers, but I think he's trying too hard. I think this has been a lot on his plate. And then to your point, that you have to factor in the fact that physically this guy's not at 100%.
No, not even close to 100%. Dan, I was last Saturday when I was out in Sacramento for that Giants-A's game, he had a double. I want to say it was in the 7th inning, and he had a double there. And Brett Wisely got thrown out at home plate to end the inning on that double. And my first thought after that play was, wow, did Matt Williams really just send another runner to their doom at home plate? And I got a text from one of our old producers, Brian Iglesia. He's like, did you see Wisely just run through that Matt Williams stop sign? I went back and watched the replay, and Wisely did indeed blow through that Matt Williams stop sign. Why am I bringing up Brett Wisely here? I missed all of that, Dan, because I was too busy watching Rafi Devers lumber around the bases to second base. First off, for Giants, I don't know what Giants fans out there are saying that Rafi Devers doesn't care, because now you just triggered me with that phrase there, Dan. This dude is clearly laboring. He is clearly in pain, and he is pushing himself as hard as he possibly can on the base paths to leg out a double there when one of his legs is about to fall off. His back is, about to implode. He is putting his body on the line right now for this team that he just joined. Like, he is trying so hard, to your point, the pressing thing, to make a good first impression here. And the fact that Giants fans are going to try and make this insinuation that he doesn't care, that is absolute nonsense. So, Giants fans, get that mentality out of your minds right now. That is not accurate. I think with Devers, there is a level of pressing, and the health thing is an issue. He cannot run right now. He just can't. Like, a ball into triples, he's basically going to be Benji Molina. If he hits a ball out the triples alley, that is probably a single, maybe a double if you're lucky. Like, that's where he's at right now because he just cannot physically run that well. Then you add in the back issue too. The back is going to impact your swing. Like, that's just, you need your back to swing. That's why a lot of baseball players, I know Mookie Betts was golfing yesterday, but a lot of baseball players try to avoid golfing during the season because they don't want to throw their back out on the course because then that's going to screw their swing up at the plate. So, like, he's not playing at 100%. He's fighting hard to play through it. And this idea that Giants fans are going to come down his road about him not caring or not going all in or anything like that, this dude's trying as hard as he can to ball out for this team. So let's have some appreciation for what he's doing there. Let's have some patience for what he's trying to do here too. He's too damn good of a hitter, Dan, to fly across the country and then just forget how to hit a baseball. So I do believe this All-Star break is coming at a really good time for him. Thank God he's not going to it, because if there is ever a guy who just needs to be put in the hyperbaric chamber or throw him in the back to tank for the next week, it's one Rafael Devers, because if the Giants are going to make a significant run in the second half, they need him to be healthy. And I feel that when he does get right, when that back starts feeling better, when that groin's ready to go, we're going to see the Rafael Devers that was hitting the snot out of the ball in Boston, and it's going to be glorious to watch.
Well, when you think about Devers and you think about the Giants and their lack of hitting in the first part of the season, I think that they're really perfectly positioned, or at least dangerously positioned, if you're the Padres, the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Brewers, when you're all vying for either division titles or certainly positioning for the wild card. San Francisco right now, because I'm with you. I think Devers will be Devers when it's all said and done with. Here comes Willie Adams. Suddenly, Casey Schmidt makes sense at second base. Chapman's healthy back at third. And the pitching is the pitching, and the bullpen is arguably the best in baseball. This is a team right now that I think is perfectly suited. If you're to look at somebody as you hit the All-Star break, like, as to give you the horse racing analogy, as they hit the top of the stretch, and we're not at the top of the stretch, but they're the danger on the outside as they hit the top of the stretch. Look out for the Giants, because right now, again, there's nowhere to go but up for guys like Patrick Bailey and Verlander and certainly Willie Adams and Devers and, all these guys who have struggled, yet here's a team that's still walking down the Dodgers and within 4 games. I think it's right now, it's an enviable position to be in, like that of the San Francisco Giants.
So again, you got the week coming off here for Devers. Honestly, we do have a lineup today, actually. Let's check and see if he is in said lineup.
Do we want to do Devers,
today.
Will Clark a little bit?
We can get into that a little bit. I didn't think that was that big of an issue. By the way, we do have a lineup today. Rafael Devers is in the lineup. The lineup really quick. Mike Yastrzemski, he'll be leading off in right field. Elliot Ramos, man, he needs to get going.
Yeah,
he has been ice cold this month. He'll be hitting second in left field. Rafael Devers batting third at DH. Chapman in your cleanup spot. He'll be your third baseman. Willie Adams at shortstop. He'll be batting sixth. Jung Hoo Lee, he's in the lineup, hitting seventh in center field. Casey Schmidt is hitting. Adams fifth. Lee sixth. Casey Schmidt, I got to learn how to count. He'll be hitting seventh at second base. Big Dom Smith in the lineup again at first base, going with the lefty against the righty Shohei Ohtani. He'll be hitting eighth at first. Patrick Bailey in the squat, hitting above the Mendoza line now, or at the Mendoza line now. He'll be hitting ninth as your catcher. So, again, are going to have Devers in the lineup. I'm curious if he's going to have maybe a day off tomorrow just to kind of give him a little bit more rest before the second half. That'll be interesting to see. But, yeah, the whole Rafael Devers, Will Clark, Will Fleming thing. So, Will Fleming said this. Let me see if I can. If we can get what Will Fleming said on the board back there, boys, in a second, I'd love to get into that a little bit just so we can add some context as to what was said. But basically, Will Fleming shared this story about how Rafael Devers was supposed to take ground balls with Will Clark. This was like the first week that he was there. and he didn't show up. And Will Clark responded to that with some colorful language telling Will Fleming, excuse me, sir, but that's not quite what happened. If you could please bleep, 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 bleep off. That's what was said there, a little bit more color than I added there. And then Will Clark yesterday kind of cleared the air officially saying that, look, it was a non-issue. He just wasn't able to do it that day, but we are going to be working with him. But anyway, here is what Will Fleming had to say here as I try to find that sound on the board here. Is it there? I am. You guys want to play it in the back if you guys have it? The Will Fleming, what he said about Jung Hoo Lee? If we have it, or we're still working on it.
We have the Will Clark going off on Will Fleming.
Well, you know what? I basically said what Will Fleming said, and this is what Clark ended up saying about Will Fleming in response.
You know, Rafi and I are fine. I'm going to work with him, whenever I get around to first base and all that. And Will Fleming, you can go f*** off, motherfucker. All right? You want to fucking take a conversation that we're having and then blow it out of proportion because you're a fucking East Coast piece of reporter? F*** off. All right? And so other than that, I'm cool. But, today's one of them days where, blown out of proportion.
That was from his Deuces Wild podcast with Eric Burns. So, yeah, Dan, what was as you're watching this whole saga play it out over the week, what was going through your mind?
I'm sort of with Will Clark in all of this. There's nothing to see here. I really don't. I'm sort of curious how it was played out on the morning show and sort of 95.7 The Game, because I really don't think that this was an issue. It's Will Clark at the end of the day, and he's doing a podcast. And if we know anything about Will Clark, he's colorful, right? He's going to say stuff, and that's one of the beauties of him. You give him a live mic, he's going to tell you something, which is why he's perfect for a podcast. But listen, I mean, come on, man. He's vintage 1980s baseball. Let's just put it that way. And he can rub some people the wrong way.
He's got that red-ass mentality.
He's always been that way. So I don't think there's anything to see here. I just move on. I know a lot of people sort of got into it, but it's just Will Clark at the end of the day, being Will Clark.
Yeah, and again, this which makes it even more of a layered story is that it does involve Will Fleming, brother of Dave Fleming. And we weren't really planning on asking Dave about this, but Joe Shasky, he took that bullet. And Shasky, he framed the question really well. Shasky's like, hey, sometimes my brother says things, and I got to go and check him on it. Dave, your brother was saying this. What's going on there? And we played it off for laughs. Shasky and Dave, they have a very good relationship. Here's what Dave Fleming had to say about what Will Fleming had to say about Rafael Devers.
Yeah, I mean, look, do I think what he said was true? I don't. I mean, do I think what he said was true? It was true because Will Clark said it on his own podcast, and that. So my brother's self-defense was, well, Will said it. I was just parroting what Will Clark said, which is true. Will said that on his podcast, and but is there an issue? Like it got painted as like there's a big issue with this bad guy. Not at all. Yeah. Like not at all. Devers is happy to be here. He's working. He's taking ground balls every day. He will play first base.
I mean, Dan, he was taking grounders at first base literally like an hour after his introductory press conference. So and again, I hate to come down Will Fleming's road here. He's a friend of the Morning Roast. Had a chance to meet him. He's a great guy. He's Dave Fleming's brother. So, you're in just by that alone. It just seems like there's this continuing narrative coming out of the Boston Red Sox that Rafael Devers is a bad dude and he's the reason why things went south. And the more and more they do this and the less and less he responds, it just makes it more and more evident as to like, this is why he wanted out of that organization. And they continue to paint him as the bad guy. And I hate that Will Fleming's a part of this now, but that organization, whether it's ownership, the general manager, whether it's Jonathan Papelbon, whether it's David Ortiz, anyone who is getting those checks from John Henry has been out to get Rafael Devers. And frankly, I'm not even mad anymore. It's like, you know what? Sour grapes. Have fun with those sour grapes. Wash down with the Sam Adams.
The one thing I would say about the situation with Will Clark is that, and this is just going off of what Will Clark had to say, which I thought was so damn interesting, where he said, yeah, he didn't want to come out. Not next time I'm going to grab him by the back neck. It's like that's the like.
Well, that's the Will Clark hyperbole.
Like, Will,
there.
come on, man.
No one's actually going to grab someone by the back.
But this is where I point a finger at Bob Melvin, because what was the one issue that the Red Sox had essentially at the end of the day when it came to Rafael Devers? It was the communication or the lack thereof, right? Mm-hmm. Like they didn't tell him about Bregman. They didn't tell him about. He was left out in the dark. And so, listen. If Devers doesn't want to come out because the Red Sox are in town, before you fly Will Clark into town, Bob Melvin,
maybe let him know.
After what it is we just saw,
off on your podcast about stuff.
Talk to Devers and just say, hey, listen, what do you think about Will Clark coming in and you taking some ground balls? I know the Red Sox are here. How do you feel about it? He's got to be in the loop. If we learn nothing else of the situation he just left, Bob Melvin talked to the guy.
Yeah, maybe let Will know, hey, Rafi's not going to take grounders today because of XYZ. Do me a favor. Don't go screaming about it on your podcast. Something like that.
Well, just talk to Devers and say, listen, do you want to take ground balls with Will Clark? Or at least let him know Will's going to come in to work with you. And Devers can say, you know what, it's against the Red Sox. Like he booted, like Pasta saw him boot a couple of ground balls and it rolled into the dugout of the
you don't
Dodgers.
want to do that in front of your old team.
Imagine it rolling into the dugout of the Red Sox. Who's retrieving that ball?
I mean, he still did take grounders in front of the Red Sox dugout. I mean, again, he was taking grounders literally an hour after putting on a Giants jersey officially for the first time in his presser. So, again, this whole thing got blown out of proportion. I'm blaming Boston media for blowing out of proportion. Will Clark had maybe a little too much fun talking about it, and that probably added some life to it too. So, I think that's going on there. We'll talk to Bonte Hill about it on the other side. And some news just broke, Dan, in the last few minutes. Not about the Giants, but about a different team that Bonte does pre- and post-game for. Are we going to have to ask Bonte Hill about Jonathan Kuminga?
Let's go there.
Something broke just a few minutes ago that I think we're going to have to. So always got to talk some basketball somehow on this station. So that is coming up next. Brought to you by Fremont Bank. Here for you, here for good. is in Las Vegas. You can catch that game on the Valkyries channel on the Odyssey app. Just download the app and search Valkyries. Giants are taking on the Dodgers again today at 1 o'clock as well. Shohei Ohtani will be taking on Landon Roop. And if you aren't listening on the radio, you might be watching on TV. If you're watching on TV and catch the pregame show, you'll be catching our guest, Bonte Hill, who is joining us right now on the River Islands guest line. And Bonte, so glad to finally have you on the wrap. I really, really am excited to talk some baseball with you, but we had a little bit of Jonathan Kuminga news that just broke. According to Brett Siegel, who once came on the Morning Roast, the expectation is that Kuminga will be re-signing with the Warriors and will be traded in February. What are your thoughts on that when you hear that news being broke there?
Well, first of all, good morning. And, man, I'm finally sharing the airwaves with the great Dan Devone. Are you kidding me? Dan Devone and Bonte Hill and Sam Lovett? This sounds like a match made in heaven. Listen, you mentioned how you had Brett Siegel on the Morning Roast, and I remember that interview where basically we got nothing for Brett Siegel. And so I'm going to take this report with a grain of salt, because what if Kuminga does, say hypothetically, okay, he re-signs, and in his mindset, hey, trade me in February. Well, what if he's playing well? What if he's averaging like 22 a game, grabbing 7 rebounds, shooting over 50%? You think the Warriors will trade him then? That's just an erroneous report, in my opinion. I'm not going to base that off of nothing. I'm just going to say he's shooting from 30 feet, Brett Siegel, and I like the guy. He's doing whatever he's got to do, but when has he ever been right about anything? Like, come on, let's be real. When has he ever been right about anything?
I can't think of a single moment, but I see it pop up in my timeline. I know I got the king coming on the show with me. I got to at least throw the question out there. So this is Bonte Hill, host of Giants pre- and post-game and Warriors pre- and post-game, joining us here on the River Islands guest line. Bonte, you were in studio with us yesterday, and you implored Giants fans to show up and represent last night. Don't let Dodger fans take over. And then last night, Logan Webb, Willie Adams, I don't know if you caught this, but they both said that there were too many Dodger fans in the stands. When you see that crowd last night, Bonte, what are your thoughts of the Dodger fans still trying to take over this ballpark?
Well, Dodger fans know they have a very good team on their hands, and they're going to travel wherever you go. Their box office, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, and boy, what a blast he had yesterday in the top of the third inning going splash zone on the Staring McCovey Cove. Giants fans, I don't think they quite believe in this team yet to be a contender, a team that's going to be threatening the Dodgers for the NL West divisional title. I mean, how many titles have the Dodgers won over the last 12 years in the NL West? I mean, for crying out loud, it feels like every single year with the exception of 2021. So Giants fans, they look at it as it's an opportunity to sell tickets, to make some money. And until we fully believe in this team, it's going to look like this for the foreseeable future. I don't remember like this, Dan and Sam, in the first 15 years of the opening of Oracle Park. But over the last 7, it just feels like they've just flooded Third and King. So until the Giants do something about it and continuously beat the Dodgers consistently and start to threaten them for not only divisional titles, but World Series titles, it may look like this for the foreseeable future. But if you continue to beat the Dodgers, more and more fans will show up and less blue will be out there at Oracle Park.
What's up, Hollywood? What are you not on television is what I want to know. So,
man, I was hey, Dan, I had like 2 weeks off. I didn't know what to do with myself.
I got a question for you, and this has been burning. This is something that I need to get out. I need an answer to, and I think you could provide some sort of clarity. If, let's say, in the second inning of last night's game, that Sam Lubman put on Dustin May's uniform, would anybody in that park know the difference?
No, I don't think so. Well, no, they would, because Sam Lubman would throw a fastball at about 45 miles an hour. We're like, wait, who is that? That's May needs another Tommy John surgery.
And then, of course, Sam would hold his own press conference and talk for the next 2 days. He didn't need anybody in the media. We love Sammy. Let's just talk really quick about the Giants going forward in the second half of the season. I think that this team is positioned perfectly. I'm curious, how do you think the Giants will attack the last couple of months of the campaign, taking into consideration that not only are they healthy, but now that lineup begins to sort of make sense when you look 1 through 9?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The lineup is starting to solidify itself, right? I was shocked. Sam texted me earlier today. Guess who's batting .355 in the month of July? I'm like, Willie Adams? Well, he's batting .361 in the month of July. Jung Hoo Lee, surprisingly, is batting .355 in the month of July. So, okay, and Devers will get going. He'll get the break. He'll rest up. Devers will hit. He has a track record of doing it. I believe in guys with track records. So Devers, I believe, will hit. Now, you get a little worrisome about the back and the groin, but I just think he needs some time off. That swing will come around. He'll start hitting bombs, and everybody will be happy. To me, it's the pitching, Dan. How can they solidify? Because all of a sudden, starting pitching in the bullpen was a position of strength. Now, the bullpen now with Eric Miller, your only lefty in the pen at the time, he's now dealing with an injury. He may not come back this season, right? Scott Alexander, do we really believe in Scott Alexander out that bullpen? So I think they need another lefty. You look at the Dodgers bullpen, they got 4 lefties back there in the pen. So I think the Giants will need another lefty or 2 in that pen. And then maybe a starting pitcher, because somebody's going to go down on the injury list, right? Somebody may miss a start, maybe, whether it's Robbie Ray, Logan Webb. I hope that doesn't happen, but this is pro sports, and these guys are pitching a lot of innings. Landon Root, who's starting today against the Dodgers, he's never gone this deep into the season. So you want to have some backup for that. And then Hayden Birdsong is a young man who just needs a blow, and everything is moving so fast for him. But can you count on him in August and September, the dog days of August, pennant race chase in September? And then you got Verlander, who's 42 years old. So I think the depth with the starting rotation, and everybody's going to be looking for pitcher, right? Baseball, everybody needs a starting pitcher. I think Buster Posey and company will need to look for another starter or 2 to help this starting rotation out for August and September. So that's the only concern I have moving forward with this Giants team.
Bonte, again, you mentioned the lineup coming together there. Now, yeah, I do want to get your thoughts on Jung Hoo Lee. It was a wild night, to say the least, for Jung Hoo Lee on defense last night in center field. He had the ball that skipped by, the Will Smith ball that skipped by him, the Teoscar Hernandez ball that bounced off his glove, the Mookie Betts double that he fumbled picking up and turned into a triple there. But he did get 3 hits, and as you know, I told you, and as you mentioned, he is hitting .355 this month. So there's a lot of up and down here. For me, it seems like what we're seeing from Jung Hoo Lee is like these are the growing pains that we needed to see him go through last year. Unfortunately, he goes down with the shoulder injury. We don't get that. He's got to probably have some growing pains in the second half of the season. How much of a leash should the Giants be giving Jung Hoo Lee to fight through some of these growing pains and what's essentially his rookie year 2.0, while the Giants are also playing out a divisional race, fighting for a playoff spot with potentially very little margin for error?
Well, do you have a choice to play him? I mean, you look at the contract, you look at the investment that the previous regime invested into Jung Hoo Lee. You have no choice but to play him. And ideally, I would love for him to be the leadoff guy. I think the Giants lack a true leadoff hitter, which is why I love Xavier Edwards down in Miami. He's been turning the ball up. Doesn't hit for a lot of power, but he's a speed guy, contact guy, gets on base. They need a true bona fide leadoff hitter. So that position right there is right there for Jung Hoo Lee to take. And with this speed, you see him run around on that triple yesterday. That triple changed the game. You're down 2-1. Dodger fans are going crazy. It's 1 out. We know the Giants have struggled with runners in scoring position. The numbers are just, you look at the numbers at home in June and July when it comes to runners in scoring position, they're hitting less than 200 for crying out loud. That's hard to do. Very hard to do. So Jung Hoo Lee coming through with that triple and showing off his speed. Now, then Michael Conforto throws him out with a perfect throw. Whether he'll safe or not, I think Jung Hoo Lee needs a better slide at that moment. But he is a guy who's going to play. You're not going to bitch a guy who's making over $100 million. And with this investment and everything that's going on with Jung Hoo Lee, now he's hitting the ball a little bit better. But I need him to be the leadoff guy. And so we need to figure this out with Jung Hoo Lee. Let him play through it. Let him learn the league. You have no choice. What are you going to do, bench him for Luis Matos? Luis Matos is lost right now. What else are you going to do? You're going to try Marco Luciano in the outfield? Come on, give me a break here. So Jung Hoo Lee will play. He's going to play every single day, and he's going to have to learn on the fly here, especially in the outfield where it's been an adventure. But at the plate yesterday, 3 for 4, right? He gets on base 3 times. But in the outfield, he's got to do a better job playing center field. He's got to come up with those balls. I know they're tough plays. Ball rolls right by him, goes to the outfield wall. That cannot happen, but he's got to play. Like Sam and Dan, what other choice do you have? Especially with the money you're invested in, you're not going to bench a $16 million player and play Luis Matos. Give me a break here. So he will play. You hope that he turns it around, and hopefully by the end of the season, he's your bona fide leadoff hitter.
Bonte, talk about Rafi Devers. Do you have any concerns with the high-priced first baseman, and also your thoughts on Will Clark as it relates to the Rafi Devers drama this past week?
Yeah, it was wild, right? I think it was a little overblown, the Rafi Devers drama, because I've been out there and I've seen him taking grounders at third. I've seen him taking grounders at first base. Maybe he didn't want to show up the Red Sox that day. I mean, Will runs hot. We all know Will Clark. He can run hot. And so, look, Matt Williams has been working with them. Ron Wotus has been out there. I hear from people, personnel, hey, Rafael Devers has been a great teammate. Now, in terms of the contract, look, the contract is what it is. When you have a track record of hitting 30 home runs in three of your seasons, you have at least 5 seasons of hitting 27 home runs. I mean, this guy just flat out rakes. Now, sometimes it looks like he's trying to hit the ball to Saturn. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? He's swinging so damn hard. No wonder he's got inflammation in his back right now. But he looks like a bona fide guy who's going to be in that 2 or 3 hole raking. So I'm not concerned about Rafael Devers right now. It's been a lot. Think about it, Dan. He flies out here after beating the New York Yankees, going Oppo Taco at Fenway Park. He finds out on the tarmac at Logan International Airport in Boston that, oh, my God, I'm getting traded to the Giants. So then you got to fly cross country. You come out here. It's a big press conference for you. It's all this hoopla. Then you got to play a game. You got to play a game, and everybody's giving you standing ovations, even when you strike out in your first ever at bat as a Giant. So I think he needs a blow, and I think Bob Melvin wanted to give him a day off, to be honest with you, because he needs it, obviously. The bat has looked a little slow. He looked like a mess Wednesday against the Phillies in that 13-0 loss. But you couldn't give him a day off because Chapman was hurt. Schmidt was hurt. Christian Koss got hurt, so you had no choice but to play him. So I do think he'll be fine. I have no concern with that. And to the question about Will Clark, I think that whole thing was just quite frankly overblown. The guy's taking grounders. I don't know why Boston media continues to harp on Rafael Devers. Look, Boston's winning games. Focus on the Red Sox. You guys are in the race in the AL East. Get over it. Stop checking in on your ex. It's like us on Instagram. Oh, what is my ex doing? Oh, who's she dating now? Get over that stuff. Block her on Instagram. Boston, leave Rafi alone. Will Clark, I think, will tone him down. I think the front office, if knowing this front office, they probably made a call to Will Clark like, hey, dude, Will, we gotta relax this a little bit, man. Relax. It's all good. So I think it was just highly overblown, and people are looking for stuff to pick apart with Rafi Devers.
Yeah, it just seems like Boston, there's a lot of bitterness coming out of there, a lot of sour grapes, and I agree with you, Bonte. They just need to move on because they're just showing more and more why – that was a big boom there. They're showing more and more why Rafi wanted out of there. But going back to last night's game, I think, the most tense moment of the game last night was the top of the 9th inning, watching Camilo Doval come in when he had Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Will Smith do up. I don't think there is a Giants fan in that ballpark last night that wasn't sweating bullets. He gets Ohtani, then he gives up the walk, the base hit to Betts, walks Freddie, finally gets that double play from Will Smith to end it. One of the most impressive saves that Camilo Doval has had. Was that one of his better saves that you've seen? And I feel like that felt like a little bit of a Doval growing up moment last night.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one of his better saves because we've seen him strike out the side, right, and just blow people away with the fastball or knock people out with the slider. But, look, that's a tough spot, right? You got Ohtani, you're thinking what could go wrong, and then Mookie Betts gets on base. They're like, oh, boy, now obviously he gets pitch ran for. But it was nerve-wracking because it is the Dodgers, and you're on the cusp of blowing an 8-2 lead. And that's a game you absolutely had to win on the day where Logan Webb starts a game. Logan Webb should be win day from here on out, or at least getting close to a win day. And I know we didn't have his best stuff, and he got touched up in the 6th inning, but to get that double play to end the game against a guy who was hot. Will Smith has been raking. That's an impressive save. And how about Tyler Rogers, huh? Let's give him some love. I remember arguing, Dan, with Sam Lovett about Tyler Rogers 4 years ago. We had a shouting match. I thought we were going to fight. I think, man, get this guy out of here. Say you're a trick pitcher. He's not going to get anybody out. This guy's been nails. And all of a sudden, he's top 10 in Giants appearances all time when it comes to relief appearances, 385 relief appearances for Tyler Rogers, borderline all-star this season. So, look, that was an impressive effort by the bullpen last night overall, not just Camilo Doval, to shut that game down, make sure that you win that game, and take game 1 of this series. But Doval, look, it's been a roller coaster ride. That's the case with a lot of closers in baseball. There's going to be some ups and downs. You're going to need Pepto-Bismol by your side, but to get it done and knock that down and get the double play to end the game, that was big time for Camilo Doval.
You know, the Giants are a buzz again in this town, and a lot of it obviously is because they're playing winning baseball. But I'm just curious, how much of that, if any, do you attribute to Buster Posey, or is it just the fact that San Francisco is good again?
A little bit of both, Dan. I think with Buster Posey, obviously, we love him out here. 3-time champ. We know the accolades, the trophy case, the MVPs, the Rookie of the Years, the Comeback Player of the Years, the All-Stars. I mean, he's going to walk into the Hall of Fame. Now, whether or not that's debatable, I think Thurman Munson and Jorge Posada should walk alongside Cooperstown with him into the Hall of Fame. But Buster Posey is instant credibility. And one thing we know about Buster Posey is he wants to win. The guy hates losing. So you get Buster Posey, and then you sign a free agent in Willie Adams, who obviously chose the Giants. How many free agents have they whipped on? That's why I was patient with Willie Adams. Like, hey, look, this guy chose the Giants. Now, he could have probably gone somewhere else for less money, and, money talks at the end of the day, but Willie Adams chose the Giants. And then you get Matt Chapman in here, and now all of a sudden you're playing some winning. That start this year, Dan, was everything. They would have got off to, say, an 8-13 start. And all of a sudden the buzz dissipates. All of a sudden everybody's saying, boy, they made a mistake with Buster Posey. You should have hired a real president of baseball operations. What does Buster Posey know? But getting off to that hot start, although they played basically 500 baseball since that hot start, I think that did a lot for the Giants fans. And Giants fans are desperate. Think about it. That park has been dead for a few years. The way they played baseball really turned a lot of fans off with the platooning, the opener. All of a sudden you got a legit rotation. I don't think we've seen the opener one time this season. Wow, what a concept. You got 5 starting pitchers. Oh, wait, I know where, for the most part, guys are going to bat. Chapman's going to be in the middle of the lineup. Adams is going to be in the middle of the lineup. Now you have Devers. He's going to be in the middle of the lineup. Ramos is going to be the top of that lineup. Instead, you had, with the previous regime, you drive into the yard saying, wow, Yaz was leading off yesterday. Now he's batting ninth. What's going on here? Patrick Bailey's batting second. Now he's batting eighth. What's going on here? So we know what's going on at the yard. And now that they're winning and they're in the race and they look like a competitive baseball team, yeah, it's a perfect combination, Dan. So it's a little bit of both. Buster Posey's credibility with this fan base and organization, and the fact that they are winning and compete with the big boys in the league, that's huge. So that you get those two combinations there, and all of a sudden you got people running to the yard saying, where's my tickets? Where's my tickets? I need Giants tickets, for crying out loud.
Awesome. Bonte, man, really appreciate you joining us. You're going to be in, I know that the All-Star game this week, the Stars are going to be out, and are you going to be among the Stars that are going to be descending on Truist Field this Tuesday?
I don't know, man, because I put in for a credential late because I didn't even realize that the All-Star game was in Atlanta. Things have been moving so fast for you, boy. And then I had the other side of this, Sam and Dan, where I'm like, do I break away from the family on a family vacation for 5 hours? Yeah, I'm going to be that guy that tries to do that. So I'm going to try my best to get to the All-Star game on Tuesday. If I don't do that, we're definitely going to hit up one of those Yankee games because the Yankees are in town that weekend.
That'll be a fun
out of the
one.
All-Star break. That'd be a fun one with the Yankees and Braves playing out at Truett Park. Should be a lot of bombs in that game. So in those games, so I'm going to get to Truett Park. I don't know if it's going to be for the All-Star game or for Yankees Braves.
Awesome. Well, can't wait to hear about it, Bonte, man. Thank you so much for joining Dan and I on the wrap. We'll have to do it again, and have a great pre- and post-game show today.
Thanks, Bonte.
Sam, always a pleasure. Dan, I thought you were going to bite a little harder, man. Oh, bark, no bite, Dan. Come on.
I'm gonna tell once you hang up, I'm gonna relay my Bonte Hill story and my one interaction with Bonte Hill.
Oh, there's the tease.
Do I have time to do it now? Or are we gonna come back and do it?
Well, we could do it right now, probably.
No, I'm just gonna say,
always enjoy listening to you on the weekend.
So I was giving him grief as I do that because I'm just throwing things out there about Jimmy Garoppolo back in the day.
Yeah.
And I never know how this stuff. You know me, I got a twinkle in my eye when I do this stuff, and so I never know how this is gonna be received. So the first time I see Bonte, 6'4", just this big, good-looking dude, infectious smile, and he looks at me, he's like, there you are, man. You've been coming after me for 2 years. We haven't even met. And I'm like, that's the nicest dude in the world. What was I thinking, man?
There you go.
Bonte, I love you, man.
No, it was always good. No, I love you, too. No, it was always good. I'm telling you, man, it's an easy listen on Saturday. Whether it's you and Evan, you and Sam, you and whoever, man, I always enjoy you on Saturdays, man. And I was telling Love, I was like, we got to get Dan Devon here in the morning one day. Get his ass up at 5 in the morning and work on the roast, man. Love to work with Dan, but you guys do a great job, man. I'll continue to listen before Giants and Dodgers today.
Awesome. Appreciate you, Bonte. Have a great rest of your day, bud. All right, that was Bonte Hill, who joined us there on the River Islands guest line. All guests appear on the River Islands guest line. Is it time for you to discover the islands? That's River Islands in Lathrop. A lot of interesting stuff there. He's not concerned with Rafael Devers. And, yeah, Giants, no other choice but to stick it out with Jung Hoo Lee. I want to dive into that a little bit on the other side. And, again, the All-Star break is this week, Dan. I want to talk about the Major League Baseball All-Star game that's coming up on Tuesday at Truist Park in Atlanta. And 2 bits of news broke this last week regarding the All-Star game that has got fans. I want to say it's controversial, but there's definitely a little bit of buzz there. surrounding the All-Star game. But anyway, yeah, so we will get into that and more on the other side. That is brought to you by Fremont Bank, here for you, here for good.
triples alley. And it's going to fall. Adams is off to the races. 2 runs are going to score. Adams has got a triple.
And that ball is jumping off of his bat.
Now back to the best Giants talk in the Bay. The Orange and Black Weekend Wrap on 95.7 The Game.
Jumping off the bat, it was there, Kruk. That was Dwayne Kuiper, Mike Kruk on the call for NBC
What's with the Sopranos
Sports.
analogy? What am I missing here?
I don't know. Is there a reason we're doing Sopranos, or do we just want to play the Sopranos theme song just for the fun of it?
By the way, greatest show ever on HBO.
Oh, you want to know a fun fact about the Sopranos?
Sure.
I haven't watched it.
1 episode.
I watched like the first few episodes. I had I had Hulu, and Hulu had like a free week of HBO thing going on. I was like, yeah, I'll try Sopranos, and I got a few episodes in, and then the free trial stopped. It's like, oh well.
Didn't resonate?
I don't know, I just never thought. I mean, I could go back and watch it now because I have HBO Max, but like, that's a long show to have to go through. I barely have time to sit down and watch shows anymore, Dan. It's just when you
Wire. Were you a Wire guy?
No, I was never into that one either. I was the big show I was into once upon a time I was into Lost. Very big on Lost.
Okay.
Love Lost. I was very, very obsessed with that one. But no, Sopranos, never got into one. I watched the first few episodes of Sopranos, and my takeaway was, wow, I got to make Big Ziti more. Like, Big Ziti looked really good. So I started making Big Ziti. I'm like, wow, Big Ziti is really, really good.
Or Gabagool, which I still don't know what it is.
I don't know what that is.
Gabagool.
It's a very fun word to say. But, yeah, I never did The Wire. I never did Breaking Bad either.
Breaking Bad.
Everyone insisted I need to watch it. And I'm like, I'm not going to watch it then. My toxic trait is when people tell me to watch a show, I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to watch it.
But we're on page with White Lotus, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this last season...
it was very, very good except for the finale.
The finale absolutely underwhelmed. They tried way too hard, so much buildup, and then just flopped. You know,
I just saw Jennifer Coolidge in a movie with Bill Murray.
Oh, really?
I think it was shot last year. No.
Okay.
But it's funny how it sort of launched her career.
It's kind of rejuvenated her, and you're seeing Walton Goggins around a lot more as well.
He's this year's Jennifer.
He's kind of, like he had some, he was in Righteous Gemstones, which, some people are into that show, some people are not. I didn't really know about that show until a little while ago. But yeah, he kind of got the boost from that show. So it's fun seeing how that show is boosting people. But yeah, my issue is just like the kid, like he drinks like the poison smoothie, almost dies, then just doesn't question it ever. Like, and the kid, dad's just holding the kid there while the shootout's happening.
There were a lot of holes.
There was a lot of plot holes. That finale could have been split into like 2 episodes probably, and people would have watched it. They did a little too much.
Before we move on, Tires, are you with Tires at all, Shane Gillis?
No.
Okay,
no.
guys back there, Zach, anybody watching Tires? Am I the only one with Tires knowledge? Okay.
You're the only one, but it's on my list.
All right.
I thought you were talking like Tires like for cars. Like
it is.
I do like Tires.
It's a tire shop.
Oh, okay.
Shane Gillis is a comedian, and it's
yeah, I know.
It says a lot about me that I actually laugh out loud at this stuff because it's too bro humor, and I should be a little bit more mature than this, but I'm not. So,
okay. Well, I mean, I'll have to try to give Tires a lesson. I can lessen my maturity a little bit to make a show more enjoyable. What was not enjoyable last night was the defense of Jung Hoo Lee. I want to touch on this just a minute before we talk about the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. And he had the misplay on the Will Smith ball, and then he couldn't catch the Teoscar Hernandez ball. Both of those plays, I think, and again, Bob Melvin, he kind of caped up for him, saying those are tough plays there. And I do appreciate how Bob Melvin will cape up for guys publicly, because I know he's probably coming down a lot harder on them privately behind closed doors, and I respect that move. You put on a positive front, publicly, and then handle things internally. I could respect that. But we waited around after most of the media left. The way it works is the most of the media clears out, and then the Korean contingent sticks around because they're obviously covering Jung Hoo Lee to send stuff back to South Korea. And so I hung around along with John Shea, who covers the Giants for the San Francisco Standard, because we wanted to question Jung Hoo a little bit too. And I asked for his, what happened on those defensive plays, and here is what he had to say via his interpreter, Justin Hahn.
Yeah, it's exactly what you guys saw. Teoscar hit the ball more than I thought, so farther than I thought. And what Will Smith hit, there was some water in the grass, and it just was a little slippery over there. So it's exactly what you guys saw today on the field.
The slippery grass. That's I haven't heard that one before. It just seems like really at the end of the day he misplayed 2 balls in the outfield. And this is a guy who's usually pretty sure-handed defensively, but to see the miscues he had yesterday, it's just sometimes you just have those games where the baseball is going to go hunting for you in the most cruel way possible, and that's what it felt like there. He had those two plays, and he had the Betts double, and of course there's also the Michael Conforto home run, which I thought like, oh man, is Jung Hoo going to drop that one too? No, he's not. That's a home run there. But yeah, a rough night for Jung Hoo Lee, and yeah, I thought it was interesting that he blamed the wet grass for the Will Smith one there.
Now, what I want to hear, apparently he was giving you a little stink eye?
I don't know if I would say stink eye, but he was kind of giving me a look while Justin was giving me the answer back. I don't know if he was just kind of like he makes eye contact with people while they're getting their answers. I got to imagine that's a little bit awkward because like when you're doing these interviews, like earlier, if I asked Logan Webb a question and like I asked him a question about the home run he gave up to Shohei Ohtani, like Logan, he'll look you in the eye and he'll give you the answer. Granted, it was a very short answer. I asked him that location on the Ohtani pitch was at the intended location. And he's like, no. Like, okay. But he'll look right at you. And I wonder if it's for when you're having your answer interpreted, like where do you look there? Do you just look off in the distance? You look at your interpreter, or do you look at the person who is asking you the question and something like that? So I don't know what the procedure is there, but yeah, I asked this question. He's kind of giving me this look like hey man, I'm just asking the question, it's just doing my job here. So
there must have been a huge Korean contingent because he was a teammate of Ha-Sung Kim's.
Yeah, so there was a little bit. Last night was a lot busier than it normally is. It's busy when the Giants press box has assigned seating, and it was, a lot of Japanese media, obviously for Yamamoto and Ohtani, and then a little bit of an extra Korean contingent for Ha-Sung Kim on top of the contingent that's already there for the Giants. And the Korean contingent for the Giants isn't huge, just like 3 or 4 people who are there every day. So it's not super crowded. But last night was one of those nights where it was just very, very more crowded than usual in that situation. But yeah, I just thought, going after the wet grass there, I thought was an interesting move.
Really quick, speaking of the international contingent covering the San Francisco Giants, so the Patrick Bailey walk-off, which we haven't talked about, but maybe we should at some point. But I don't know why. So I love the play-by-play sort of, and I thought that was Dave Fleming's best call ever. If you happen to hear Fleming on radio, it was pretty amazing.
Unfortunately, we don't have that call.
No, thank you. But I just so happened, for whatever reason, I heard the Spanish broadcast, and the Spanish broadcast just wrapped it up perfectly with one word, which I don't think translates to anything. But as that thing hit off the wall, wow! And Bailey's running around the bases, the Spanish broadcast just simply said, "Ay, ay, ay." Chef's kiss.
I think perfect. Somewhere, we'll get on the board eventually. There is a Korean call of Patrick Bailey's walk-off home run, which I definitely think we need to play that at some point. So if we can get that on there, we can play that maybe
anything
before
like Tyrese Halliburton's buzzer beater.
I haven't heard it yet. I saw we had it, and I need to hear it. So hopefully we can get that on the board rather soon. So we'll get to that in a second. But I do want to talk about the All-Star game, Dan, because that is coming up on Tuesday. And I don't know, have you ever been able to make it out to a Major League Baseball All-Star game?
Yes, I have. I've been to a few, and I know you were
in Seattle for a while. We were at
I did the Seattle one where I believe Alex Rodriguez was voted in as the starting shortstop. And
2001.
Yeah, so he switched Cal Ripken's last All-Star game, and he had Cal play at shortstop, which was his original position. And it was pretty big for me because I was with Fox. Fox carried the game, and so I was the only person to have field access before the game. And so they put me up on the jumbo screen, and so I was doing all my interviews. I talked to Tommy Lasorda, and there was Tony Gwynn's last year, and that was. But I've been to a few, and they deliver. And I think you and I talked about this. As long as the focus is on, it really is just for the fans. And it really is. It's a celebration, and it's a show at the end of the day.
Exactly.
So I know a lot of us want to crunch numbers. No, this guy belongs here. No, sometimes at the end of the day, it's just this is done sort of like when Hollywood producers are putting something together. It's like, well, what's going to draw the more eyeballs?
Yeah, and I believe that of the 4 All-Star games, or I guess 3 now, but of the All-Star games, the Major League Baseball All-Star game is the one where you're going to get consistently, I think, the best performances. It's the one where it's kind of the easiest to play, so to speak. Because, obviously the Pro Bowl is no more. It just, guys were so afraid of tackling each other and getting hurt that they stopped trying, and it just became such a sham to watch that now we have them playing dodgeball instead. Like, that's how far the Pro Bowl has fallen there. The NBA All-Star Game, obviously. You and I, we did the show the day of the NBA All-Star Game. We did that All-Star Game pregame show, and we ended up watching one of the most horrific displays of an All-Star game in professional sports history. I watched the whole thing of that one just because I had to see this train wreck all the way through, and I wanted to throw my TV out the window when Kevin Hart came onto the court with the fishing poles for the TNT crew. Like, I still, to this day, I never want to see Kevin Hart ever again. Like, I tapped out on Kevin Hart. NHL All-Star Game, it's good, not great. You know, the way they do it, I think, is great with...
They're on to something there.
They got some good. It's three periods, 20 minutes each. Obviously, that's hockey, but it's 3-on-3 each one. So you got it's the Metro and the Central, or sorry, no, it's what are the divisions? I'm spacing. It's the 2 Eastern Conference divisions in the first game, the 2 Western Conference divisions in the second game. The winner of those first 2 play each other in the third period. And there's a concert between. I actually got to go to the NHL All-Star Game in 2019 when it was down at the Shark Tank and SAP Center, and it was a lot of fun. So you know that the NHL All-Star Game was good, but the Major League Baseball All-Star Game, I got to go in 2010 in Anaheim, and Brian Wilson came in the 8th inning for the Giants, got the quick 1-2-3 inning there, a very rare 1-2-3 inning from Brian Wilson at the time. And I'll always remember he had the very bright orange shoes as he's coming in from the bullpen out in left field. I was sitting out in right field, and you see these 2 orange dots where his feet should be. They're just that bright and outlandish. So I am a big fan of the Major League Baseball All-Star Game. I love it. I think it's one of the best showcases of all-star talent in professional sports. And some news dropped this week that they're going to use the ABS system and the challenge system for the All-Star Game. We saw it a little bit in spring training. If you see a pitch, you don't like it, you tap your helmet a little bit and they review it and they decide, no, that was a strike, so we're going to change this ball to a strike, or that was not a strike, we're going to change it to a ball. What were your thoughts? What are your thoughts overall on ABS? And then when you saw it in the All-Star Game, what was your reaction to that?
Well, I think that it's inevitable. It's coming. It's at the minor league level, and it has a high success rate. So, you know, it's an inevitability. And why not? I think, again, this just gets back to the All-Star Game, and I know you'll probably disagree, but it's just a platform to showcase things like ABS in the future. You know, Mizorowski, as you talked about, the kid out of Milwaukee, he's a perfect example of what this is all about, is that you're just showcasing some of the talent, and especially for some of the smaller markets like that in Milwaukee and the Brewers, a lot of people don't know about this big kid who is, and forget about Paul Skeens for a moment. He is the new Paul Skeens, and the Brewers coincidentally are playing much better. But it's just a showcase for your sport. When you think about it along those terms, ABS makes sense. Just theoretically, I don't like video replay. If you really want to know the truth at the end of the day, I think that the NBA has turned it into an absurdity. The fact that we stand around and we wait as long as we do.
The replays are far too long.
It takes all the air out of the room, all the momentum, and to have the crowd, just to be there live and just to sit there and go, well, what are we doing here, is the worst thing that you can do to a sporting event. And so I'm not a fan of it. I don't like removing the human element that is the umpires in this case. But I do recognize that it's the future and it's going to be here one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm kind of begrudgingly accepting that too. I also believe that baseball is a flawed game, that you just kind of have to accept those flaws because they do even out. You know, if a umpire blows a call for your team in the second inning, there's a good chance that there's going to be a call in the eighth inning that's going to go your way. It's just these things have a way of evening out over time, and that is what the human element of baseball is. But a big problem is this, and we talked about this with Alex Pavlovich when he joined us on the Morning Roast earlier this week. It's part of it. It would be a lot easier to make the case that you don't need the ABS if you had better umpiring. And the problem today is that umpiring just isn't as good as it probably should be. And here's what Pavs had to say about that.
I've said this a couple times in the last few days in appearances. The Phil Cuzzy game is an example of the umpires are going to be really upset about this, and the umpires union is going to be very upset about this. And they have no one to blame but themselves.
Exactly.
They've let people like Phil Cuzzy continue to do this, and he's almost 70 years old, and he is completely taking over a game on a Monday night in the 8th inning. And this is why robot umps are coming. And this is why they're going to lose those jobs eventually, is because they have allowed people like Phil Cuzzy and Angel Hernandez and Joe West to just kind of take over for the last 20, 30 years.
So that was, again, he's talking about Phil Cuzzy from Monday night. There was a moment in the 8th inning on Monday night where Matt Chapman saw 3 pitches in the strike zone. Each one of them were called for balls. He ended up drawing a walk. That allowed the Giants to end up winning the game. And there's a major moment there in that game. And Phil Cuzzy, not a great umpire. There are a lot of just not good umpires. There's the series in Arizona a couple weeks ago with one of the worst umpiring crews I think I've seen in a while. I remember they completely botched the ruling on the Christian Koss should have been home run when that What's-His-Nuts fan leaned over and snagged that ball out of the air. When the umpiring is as bad as it is, and I think a lot of it is, there's been a lot of good umpires over the last few years. You know, Joe West, Bob Davidson, Jim Joyce, guys of
Ed Montague.
Ed Montague is another one. Dale Scott. They've retired. And you got a lot of younger umpires who are coming in who aren't established yet, aren't, hitting that ground running like they should, who are they're inexperienced. And so as a result, you have not as great umpiring. And combine that with the surge of technology to get these calls right, it creates a very easy narrative to rail against the umpires here. And I'm all for it, protecting the umpires and keeping them in the game. I'm okay with the challenge system. If we have the technology, I'm fine with you have 2 or 3 challenges or whatever a game on a ball or a strike. Maybe the pitchers have a challenge too. I'm okay with a midway point there. But I don't want is a situation where every single pitch is called by a robot, because everyone says, oh, the strike zone, it's uniform. It's not. The strike zone is not uniform. Some days it's going to be a little bit wider on a getaway day. Some days, it's going to be a little bit higher if the umpire's a little bit taller. Players are different sizes. The strike zone is not a set, it's X feet by X feet. No, it's from the bottom of the knees to the bottom of the letters of the player's jersey. And every player is a different size. So you're not going to have a uniform strike zone just by that sense. And also, the strike zone is invisible. I know we see the box on the screen there. That box it's an approximation of the strike zone. It's a tool to show you what's close, but it's not the actual accurate strike zone. And you got these umpires who were looking at an invisible floating box that they have a split second to make a call on there. It is a difficult job calling balls and strikes. That said, they still have to get the job done correctly. And when they're not getting it done correctly like they're kind of burying themselves here. And I want to support them in that sense, but it's hard to do that when the performance they're doing is not warranting that support.
And I also think as a byproduct of that is you're sort of eliminating the catching position to a certain degree, because framing pitches is an art form, and it goes into determining as who's a good or a bad defensive catcher. And I think it's bad enough that nobody runs anymore. So catchers these days, if you're going to get automated in calling balls and strikes, just get a beach chair and do the New York Times.
I mean, that's a big part of Patrick Bailey's thing. We had this argument on the morning roast this week, and Joe Shasky, he's adamant that Johnny Bench didn't need to frame pitches. Johnny Bench could also crank the ball whenever he needed to. Defense for a catcher has evolved. It's not just about blocking pitches and throwing guys out. There is a knack to stealing strikes. If you could do that and create that advantage for your pitcher,
framing's everything.
Why would you not do that? That is an aspect of the game. The game is evolving constantly, and when you bring this technology, and this thing, baseball is a game that I just think doesn't need technology. The less technology in it,
agreed,
on the field at least, the better. Obviously you're going to have technology for breaking down your swings and all that kind of stuff, breaking down your velocities and stuff to make yourself better. But in between the lines, it's got to be natural. That's just how this game was meant to be. And that's just how I feel about it. There is and you could say I'm on my soapbox right now being all high and mighty about this, but baseball is not like the other sports. It has its own pace. It has its own spirit, its own soul. And I just think that the true intention of the game is to not have this much technology in it. I just think it's anathema to what the game stands for. So that's where I stand there. Really quick before we get out of here, Robbie Ray, he's set to pitch tomorrow. That will disqualify him from being able to pitch in the All-Star game, which really sucks. I would have liked to have seen him be in there, but, again, it would be Logan Webb. He'll be getting a turn in the All-Star game. Hopefully Randy Rodriguez gets in. Honestly, if I'm being real, Giants fans probably know that you want to see less Giants pitchers in the All-Star game than more, because more often than not, it feels like Giants pitchers have rough outings in the All-Star game. Logan Webb got roughed up a little bit last year. Will Smith in 2019, Johnny Cueto. Atlee Hammaker is a very famous one in 84.
Didn't
of course,
Bo Jackson take him out?
Yeah, no, that was Rick Russell in 89. Bo says hello. There was Tim Lincecum when he plunked Derek Jeter on the fingers in 09. And then, of course, the OG one, Stu Miller getting blown off the mound in the 1961 All-Star game at Candlestick. So there's a lot of bad history of Giants pitchers in the All-Star game. There's some good history, too. Obviously, Matt Cain in 2012. But, yeah, Robbie Ray won't pitch. So there's going to be a replacement there. There was a replacement named yesterday, Dan. I want to get your quick thoughts on this. Jacob Mizrowski.
Yeah.
He's pitched 5 games, 25 total innings, and he was placed on the All-Star game roster instead. 5 starts, and that's enough to be an All-Star. Granted, this kid's a great pitcher. He'll probably be around pitching for a very long time. We did this with Paul Skeens last year. We put him on there with only 11 starts in and it ended up working out really well. 5 starts, though, is that a little, are we jumping the gun maybe a little too much here?
A little bit, but if you've seen the 5 starts, and let's keep in mind that this guy is thought of as the savior, he's been pretty dominant. And I think, again, just getting back to being the All-Star game, serving as a showcase for the sport, and to sort of lean in on the entertainment part of all of this, that why not at the end of the day? It's Milwaukee. And for crying out loud, who the hell, aside from people like yourself and the baseball enthusiasts, who really follows the Milwaukee Brewers? And so this is a chance for a small market team to get their guy this big. And this guy's got dog in him, man. He is a confident guy. And while everybody's just, all about Paul Skeens, here comes this Mizrowski guy. And not to mention that the Brewers are playing well. I love this. That's what the All-Star game's for. Like the Milwaukee Brewers, huh? Who's this guy? Wow. All right. In front of the world. Like, showcase your talent. Like, I think it's a perfect opportunity. Granted, the 5 starts aren't very much, but in those 5 starts, the guys he's gone against, I don't have it in front of me.
I saw him against the Dodgers, and he looked incredible.
But his opposing pitchers, he has taken on including Paul Skeens, who he absolutely demolished. Like the 5 guys that he's taught, someone can look this up. Every one of those guys, I want to say, were not only good teams, but quality all-star pitchers.
Rizzo, maybe if you want to pull up the 5 starters he's gone against here, you can try and squeeze that in before we get out of here. I do agree with you on that. It's because at the end of the day, it's like, I always ask the question, if not him, then who? And Christopher Sanchez, starting pitcher for the Phillies, having a great year. He's 7-2, sporting a 2.59 ERA over 107 innings. Nick Pivetta with the Padres, he's 9-2, a 3.07 ERA over 102 innings. They're both having great years, but it's the All-Star game. It's Major League Baseball's exhibition of displaying the best talent the game has to offer. And I had this argument a couple of years ago with Bonte and Shasky in 2022. J.D. Davis was having a great season. Or it might have been 23. Sorry, it was 23. J.D. Davis was having a great first half. In every single statistical category, he was doing better than Austin Riley. And I was trying to make the case that J.D. Davis should be in the All-Star game over Austin Riley. And they were just kind of laughing like, no one wants to see J.D. Davis in the All-Star game. The reason being is the All-Star game is for the stars. It's about representing the best that baseball has to offer. And I think it comes down to the fact that in this situation, it's kind of similar. Like Christopher Sanchez, Nick Pivetta, they're having great years. Like, no disrespect to them. But if you're trying to showcase the greatest talent, like, who's really showing up to the ballpark for Nick Pivetta? Jacob Mizrowski has created more buzz in 5 starts than Nick Pivetta ever has. Now, again, I don't know how often Nick Pivetta will be in position to be an all-star, and so I am sympathetic towards the whole notion of rewarding guys for their hard work when they might not make another all-star team again. But I do think then the other aspect of it's an exhibition of talent. Let's throw the best talent we have out there. Paul Skeens' Q rating skyrocketed after that appearance last year.
Yeah.
And if Mizrowski comes in this year and strikes out, a couple studs in the American League in a row, his Q rating is going to go through the roof. And I just think it's better for the game that way. It sucks for guys like Sanchez and Pivetta, who definitely do deserve the nod here, but it's the All-Star game. There's guys who unfortunately do get left out. The entire history of the game is littered with dudes who should have been All-Stars but weren't. And that's a phrase that doesn't get used enough, Dan. And Damon Bruce used this phrase a lot when he was on air. I always respected it. It does not get used enough. Dems the breaks. Like sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, and that's life. So who are those
really?
5 pitchers?
Right,
like,
I got it. Do you have
Rizzo has 5 pitchers that Mizrowski's gone against.
I was going to give them to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in his debut, real quick, Sonny Gray at home, 5 strikeouts in 5 innings. In Minnesota, he beat Joe Ryan. Wow. Pittsburgh, obviously, at home, he beat Paul Skeens. There was a loss there against the Mets that happened in his second to last start, and then against the Dodgers, he beat Clayton Kershaw.
Wow. So who's the starter in the Mets game?
The starter in the Mets game, it was they put up a 5 spot, but the Mets threw out a pitcher whose name I can't pronounce. Huskar Braz.
Whoa, wait a minute, Pasta.
Huskar Brazgobon.
Wow, you're just saying letters in a
no.
really
I'm trying to pronunciation
right
on base. The pronunciation on Baseball Reference is throwing Huskar Brazobon.
You know that this might mark the first time that you don't know a Major League Baseball player on a roster in 2025. That the impossible has just happened.
I mean, I can't
never
even.
heard of him.
That's guy. You put a gun to my head. I'm not gonna be able to spell that name. You're just saying letters and stuff in a particular order. That's not a name.
There's an accent there too with the last name, and I'm lost. I'm complete. Huskar Brazobon.
All right, I'll take your word that that's how it's said. Anyway, this has been the Orange and Black Weekend Wrap. Another fun one there. Great finish there, botching this guy's name. That's gonna be our homework this next week. Is learn how to say his name.
Just call him Boxcar.
There you go, Boxcar. I like that.
I'm fired.
There we go. All right. Signing off for Steven Risotto there. It was great having here at the station. We'll see where he pops up later on. Zach, great stuff on the board today. Dan, this was a lot of fun, man. Can't wait to do this with you next week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Giants will be in Toronto next week. We'll talk about that a little bit. And, thanks for tuning in, everyone, and beat LA.